One Piece: The Legend of Creation, Chapter 581-600. 581 against Wang Shu. Since that's the case, you can save your combat power, and let me pay you back the last favor you said. Shut up, whether it's because of Bachinliu, because of anything, godmother, you have been really good all these years. It has helped me many times, and I have to pay back the fact that I did not take the wrong path to become stronger. And I can also use Wang Shu to help me complete the disintegration, so that I can achieve my purpose and complete your favor, and I will no longer owe anything, and at the same time let you save your combat power to deal with possible dangers. One stone, lots of birds. After Lu Chengkong finished speaking, he did not give Mao Zhiwali a chance to refuse, and rushed directly to Wang Shu. He knew the gap between himself and Wang Shu, so he directly Bankai and was careful. He, I didn't expect that I would be refuted one day, but maybe it is because you are so similar to me that I noticed you, although it was originally because of Bachinliu, but you are really outstanding. In a certain I'm very similar in some places. Well, in that case I'll accept your favor, my son, don't let me down. Mao Zhiwali hesitated for a while, but finally chose to obey Lu Chengkong's words. This time, it may be that she truly recognized Lu Chengkong's identity in her heart, instead of joking and ridiculing Lu Chengkong as before. Wang Shu was stunned when he saw it. Is this still the gentle, compassionate, yet staunch, unyielding and majestic Mao Zhiwali that he knew? It's a miracle to actually listen to a kid. The leech regret tree is stupid. Although you can kill my 3 guards, I am impressed, but it's better for you to come out today, so that I can go to find it and cut the grass and roots. Wang Shu was also a little happy in his heart. This kind of slaughter can also get rid of a seed player who has the potential to threaten him. The slaughter blade turned into a flash of light and stabbed directly at Lu Chengkong. There was no extra movement, and he simply wanted to use absolute power. And the speed will instantly destroy Lu Chengkong. Wang Shu, you have miscalculated this time. His battle is the most suitable for battle I have ever seen. It should be said that it is a real Zanpakuto for battle, speed, strength, skill, movement, etc. When everything is contained in his Zanpakuto, although his current strength is far less than yours, it is too naive to think that you can kill him simply like this. A trace of disdain flashed in Mao Zhiwali's eyes, not for Lu Chengkong, but for Wang Shu's underestimation of Lu Chengkong's behavior. She has always done things without leaking, and she was only a pure human being to deal with at the beginning. Between Wang Shu and Ling Wang. Wang Shu has said that even if King Ling did not take action, he might not be able to successfully swallow Mao Zhiwali. This alone shows how high her mentality is. The reason why she has such achievements is that she has never been small. Look at anyone, no matter how useless this person is in the eyes of others, no matter how rubbish it is. Because she knows that any person, the god of death, as long as he is a living creature, as long as he can survive, there is definitely something about him that should not be underestimated. Si Uno Hanalai is a bigger enemy to the opponent. Over the years, King Spirit has regretted countless times why he shot at that time. Although he knew that if he didn't shoot Zhiwali, he would not necessarily be swallowed up, but there is a high possibility that he should have directly killed Zhiwali back then. It is the best choice. It will not become the current situation of the 3 kingdoms. With the passage of time, Mao Zhiwali seems to have become Cao Cao. Although it is not so exaggerated, there is already this trend. If it continues to develop in this way, it may become a real 3 kingdoms. King Ling can only be Liu Bei, Wang Shu is Sun Quan, and Mao Zhiwali is Cao Cao. Therefore, King Ling had to implement the plan to get rid of Zhiwali. It was very simple. He knew that Zhiwali was a person and would never owe anything. Since he agreed, he would definitely do it. Therefore, even if he felt that he was very shameless, he used the third thing that Uno Hanalai promised himself as an excuse, and even gave an open reason why Kurosaki Aikiryu colluded with Wang Shu and must get rid of Wang Shu. Although this plan is simple, but if there is no such variable as Lu Chengkong, it will definitely continue to develop. Although I don't know what the final result will be and who will kill the deer, on the surface, it is indeed the Spirit King who has the biggest advantage this time, and the Spirit King has already made a decision, even if he can't develop to the most perfect point in his heart in the end, it is to get rid of the flower of Maoji. Strong. She has developed too fast, and letting it exist is definitely a disaster far surpassing Wang Shu. Ling Wang thinks so why is Wang Shu not like this? It's a pity that she took the lead against Mao Zhawali countless years ago. Lost the opportunity. Capturing the wind to catch the shadow. Lu Chengkong's body method immediately unfolded, and the whole person seemed to be shadowless, like the wind characteristics of nature. Oh, it's a bit of a doorway, but the gap between us can't be made up for this. Die, void flash. Wang Shu was a little surprised. He didn't expect Lu Chengkong's movement technique to be so powerful, making him so fast. If it was not at the same level, it would even be one level lower than himself. As long as it reaches the speed of the virtual king, it is already much faster than himself, and Lu Chengkong is not simply fast, but also has subtle movements, wonderful footwork, coupled with extremely fast speed. It really occupies a lot of the opportunity. Blood Blade Magic Art. Lu Chengkong only felt an overwhelming pressure descending on his soul, and an extremely dangerous feeling enveloped his body and mind, making him feel that it was very difficult to breathe. Lu Chengkong's the strength is 2 levels worse than Wang Shu's. Don't talk about their level, just the difference between the vice captain and the captain's name is a huge difference. The gap in strength between levels will continue to increase. Just a random blow from King Void completely locked Lu Chengkong. He didn't even have time to use Function's legs, so he had no choice but to block. In this way, with the integration of Lu Chengkong's blood, the magic knife immediately turned scarlet, which made people feel chills in their hearts. Boom! Immediately, the entire desert in the virtual circle seemed to vibrate, and a cracking sound like glass shattered continuously. Obviously, the two people's blow will be obtained again because Lu Chengkong just now, Wang Shu and Mao Zhawali stopped fighting, and the repaired space barrier shattered again. 582 Nirvana Rebirth. It's too powerful, just a single trick to force me to use the strongest stunt may not be able to stop it. The gap between the peak of Skrito and Wang Shu is really too big, but the more this means the greater my chances. Come, the Kirin Emperor. Lu Chengkong roared in his heart, seeing Shu Shan pressing his own sword gang to keep approaching him. Lu Chengkong knew that if he couldn't be stronger, this blow from Shu Shan would kill him, and he returned to the blade immediately without saying a word. The dark silver spiritual pressure soared into the sky, and a spiritual pressure storm swept across the nearby desert, mixed with the sand on the desert, so that it seemed that the sun and the moon had blocked the light of the sky. It's actually improved so much. Even if it's the virtual king's return blade, it may not have as much improvement as your return blade, and you can't keep it. Wang Shu's face was a bit ugly, but he didn't expect to face a small peak of Skrito. The god of death had been deadlocked for so long, and the flickering blow didn't end. It simply violated his majesty and dignity, so the spiritual pressure suddenly increased. Shunbu Afterimage. Lu Chengkong suddenly retracted his strength, and used Shunbu Afterimage before the virtual flash was about to bombard him, and at the same time increased the speed of catching wind and shadow to the extreme. Really speed without shadow, fast like a meteor, it has already exceeded the limit of speed, and it seems to move behind Wang Shu like a teleportation. Resolutely popular. Lu Chengkong roared. The wind elements in the void were all attracted by Lu Chengkong's feet swinging and turned into a strong wind in the sky. This move is no longer the same as the previous moves. Instead, all the power is concentrated on the right foot. I saw that Lu Chengkong's right foot was surrounded by the storm. At the same time, countless electric lights flickered out like electric snakes. At the same time, he kicked Wang Shu's body fiercely. It can be said that this stunt is Lu Chengkong's strongest move at present. The combination of the magic knife and Function's legs is as fast as thunder and lightning, floating like a gust of wind, and its power is like the water pouring out of the Yellow River in 9 days. They all hit Wang Shu's back as if they came down. Boom! Wang Shu didn't expect Lu Chengkong's speed to be so fast. The speed at this time is actually no less than that of him at this time. God, Lu Chengkong's strength at this time is only the peak of Skrido, but the speed is unexpectedly high under the full explosion. Wang Shu, who is comparable to him for 2 full levels, directly hit Wang Shu by surprise. With a sound of impact, Wang Shu was actually kicked down by Lu Chengkong from midair, leaving a huge footprint on his back. It's a pity that although Lu Chengkong's speed has reached Wang Shu's level, his strength is still strong. It wasn't enough to hurt Wang Shu, and left nothing but a footprint that embarrassed Wang Shu for a lifetime. Bastard, shame, this is just shame. As the strongest in the virtual circle, the most powerful virtual, I was hit by a death god of the peak of Skrido. This shame must be washed with your blood. Go to death, come on. Wang Shu's flash. Wang Shu was angry. Even if he fought with Maojawali just now, he might have lost both sides. He was not so angry when he was attacked by the Spirit King. He was kicked by a kid and even almost fell into the desert, and he was still seen. Maojawali was fighting. If Maojawali mentioned this, he would be hot-faced, and he had already bullied the small, but even so, he was caught off guard by the small. The angry Wang Shu was not holding back. When he was about a meter away from the desert, Wang Shu's body suddenly stagnated, forcibly stagnant in the air, and at the same time he hit Wang Shu's flash with a backhand. This time, Wang Shu's flash was no longer. The space was distorted, but the space was pierced, and Lu Chengkong was directly annihilated at an astonishing speed. Is he dead? Maojawali's heart skipped a beat. For the first time, her mood that had been like stagnant water in the sky, and she felt like a stagnant ice cream, had turbulent for the first time, which made her feel very uncomfortable. Ha ha, little devil, this is the end of you and Wang Shu. Wang Shu laughed, although his face was still very ugly, but it was a bad breath. It seems too early to laugh now, and you will be with him soon. Suddenly, a cold voice made Wang Shu seem to be blown by the cold wind, and in a blink of an eye, he found that Maojawali had already radiated from his body. With a strong spiritual pressure, the entire space began to vibrate. The space barrier seems to be unable to withstand the soaring spiritual pressure of Maojawali. At this time, Maojawali's face can be described as cold as ice. This is the second time Wang Shu has seen Maojawali like this in so many years. I can't help but make Wang Shu feel a little regretful. He seems to have overlooked that this kid is the godson of Maojawali, but he has already been killed. There is nothing to regret, and with his Wang Shu's self-esteem, asking him to admit his mistake is like killing him. He is still in pain. My heart hurts. Then why didn't you stop me just now? Although Wang Shu regretted it in his heart, he was weak in the face of his old opponent. Talk as much as you can while you still have a chance to speak. Ujawali glanced at Wang Shu with a pair of indifferent eyes, and the Zanpakudo in his hand was also covered with a layer of spirit that was burning like a flame. Pressure, but the strange thing is that this spiritual pressure is not as simple as other gods of death or virtual, but has only one color, but is colorful, and there are at least 9 colors when you count it carefully. Godmother, I don't have silk yet, do you want me to die that much? A playful moan suddenly floated at the moment when Ujawali's momentum was about to climb to the extreme, and then he made a brazen shot. The imposing manner of Ujawali was instantly dissipated, and the icy face quickly disappeared, as if winter had passed and spring had come, and a smile that warmed the body and mind appeared again, and this time the smile actually revealed a little daughter-like excitement. Impossible, you didn't die. Wang Shu's face changed greatly. He couldn't believe that a god of death at the peak of Skrido could survive the flash of his own Wang Shu, and when he turned his head, he found that the smoke was billowing. One of them walked out. It was Lu Chengkong. It's just that after returning to the blade at this time, the black and silver scales on his body were tattered, revealing his body, but his eyes were shining brightly, giving people a better feeling than ever before. All of this is to thank you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be able to learn to disintegrate so quickly. Well, in return, I will repay you with disintegration today. Although Lu Chengkong said it was a reward, but among them, as long as you are not an idiot, you can hear the murderous intention. 583 The light of the flowers. It's no wonder that Lu Chengkong's words contained such a strong murderous intent. After all, there was only a thin line between death at that moment. It was at that moment that Lu Chengkong stayed at the peak of Skrido for so many years. The explosion of his potential was finally triggered. Under the threat and pressure of death, Lu Chengkong broke through the barrier of the peak of Skrido in one fell swoop, and reached the level of the virtual king in one fell swoop. It fused together at that moment, then shattered at the same time, and then reassembled. The mystery of disintegration is difficult to say, and simple to say. To learn to disintegrate, you must wipe out your soul at the moment when an opponent stronger than yourself hits you with an attack that can destroy yourself. In an instant, with the will beyond life and death, the will of Zanpakuto and the spirit of the sword perfectly overlapped with himself. Zanpakuto's power and Shinigami's power are completely merged at the moment of disintegration, and then the complete disintegration begins. If this is done, the soul in Zanpakuto will disintegrate for a second, and they will recombine and become more. A mighty god of death or emptiness. The appeal is easy to say, but only the god of death or Shu who survived the disintegration can understand the danger, and from ancient times to the present, there are only 3 ways to complete the disintegration. One is Wang Shu, the other is Spirit King, the last one is Mao Ji Walai. From this we can see how dangerous it is to complete the disintegration. You actually learn to disintegrate. Wang Shu is not an idiot. He clearly felt Lu Chengkong's soul, and his body was obviously more perfect than before. A flawless diamond. As a person who had come here, he immediately understood that Zai himself, King Ling, and Mao Zhiwali were followed by another death god who realized the disintegration, which made Wang Shu uncomfortable the most, and the depressing thing was that the Shu who helped this death god complete the disintegration was actually himself. Thanks to your help, I have indeed completed it, so please help me to see how my disintegration is useful. Lu Chengkong Haisho, after completing the disintegration, plus his own strength after breaking through to the virtual king, although compared to Wang Shu is still one level behind, but he is no longer afraid of Wang Shu. You must know that his Zanpakuto sword spirit Sophie is different from other Zanpakuto. After she completed Shikai, she has been practicing with her until now. It can be said that Sophie's strength has broken through, and then her own strength will also be obtained. Breakthrough, the two are exactly the same and complementary to each other. If the same self breaks through, Sophie will also get a breakthrough. Therefore, when the disintegration and Sophie's power merge just now, the power obtained by Lu Chengkong's disintegration is of course not comparable to Wang Shu's disintegration. After all, the other gods of death or the virtual Zanpakuto all decide how powerful their current power is based on the potential ability and strength of the owner. Where would it be like Lu Chengkong? The Zanpakuto sword spirit can be trained independently, so Su Sufei's strength and Lu Chengkong have always been on a par. It's just that Lu Chengkong was in the mirror fusion when he crossed into the world of the god of death, and the power of the demon emperor's transformation overwhelmed Sophie at that time. So Lu Chengkong would dominate and become the god of death, while Sophie was Zanpakuto, but it doesn't mean that Sophie's strength is weaker than Lu Chengkong. Because now it can be said that Lu Chengkong and Sophie are one body, so after Lu Chengkong and Sophie are both at the level of virtual kings, the strength has been greatly improved, and the same is true of the power of disintegration. HMPH, don't think it's great to complete the disintegration. Now you are nothing but the virtual king. Don't even think about defeating me. Wang Shu could only take advantage of his mouth, because he felt that Lu Chengkong's disintegration seemed to be a bit unusual, and more importantly, he felt a sense of depression from Lu Chengkong, and this depression was only in himself. His old nemesis, King Spirit, and Ujawali felt it. Of course, the current Lu Chengkong is not as depressed as the previous two, but it does exist. After all, Lu Chengkong is already a Benkai plus return blade, and Wang Shu is only Shikai until now, but even so, it cannot be underestimated. Now, although the virtual king and Wang Shu are just reversed, the gap between them is like a small star and the sun. Lu Chengkong can make Wang Shu feel depressed and dangerous as a virtual king. It has been since the ancient times. The only existence. Giggle, it's my vision. I've valued you alone for thousands of years. I didn't expect you to exceed my expectations. You really did it, Ujawali said with a smile. I found that I haven't been so happy for many years, and it seems that I have only appeared 3 times in so many years to laugh so happily. The first time was when he completed the disintegration, the second time was when he defeated Wang Shu and King Ling, and the third time was when he recognized Bachinliu as his daughter, and now there is one more time, that is Lu Qingkong survive, complete disintegration. After letting his tensed heartstrings go down, it can be called great joy and great sorrow. Once again, Mao Zihua laughed, and the smile was so bright that the world was overshadowed by it. It was really the essence of the aura of Zhang Shensho, the world of death. It is not an exaggeration to focus on the body of Unahakali. After all, she is the first human being in the world of death, and the first to go from human to death. She is also the first woman to complete the disintegration, and the only woman who has defeated Wang Shu and Ling Wang. Too much halo appeared on her body, so it is not an exaggeration to call it the essence of the spiritual energy of the world of death. On the contrary, it seems very natural, and it is no wonder that Sophie would say that Mao Zhiwali in the world of death is equivalent to Sophie in the world of One Piece, King of Pirates, and she is also a strange woman with countless halos standing at the top of the world. Hey, Mao Zhiwali, don't laugh so happily. Although he learned to disintegrate and made breakthroughs to reach the Void King, you should know how big the gap between Wang Shu, Spirit King, and Void King is. Even when you reached the Void King level, you were barely able to compete with me, the Spirit King, and save your life. Wang Shu's words once again surprised Lu Qingkong to Mao Zhiwali, and he looked at him with admiration. Mao Zhiwali really surprised himself time and time again. This woman is really amazing. Although his current strength is a virtual king, he can face any virtual king level. Existence can be said to be an existence that can be easily killed. But at the same time, she is also very clear about how big the gap is between herself and Wang Shu and Ling Wang. I didn't expect that Mao Zhiwali could compete with Ling Wang and Wang Shu for a period of time to save his life. It cannot kill itself. It's amazing. Mao Zhiwali really made countless men feel ashamed and inferior, and made the world pale. 584 Disintegration against the enemy. It seems that any world has never lacked genius, even if it is a peerless genius. He is not the only one who has the ability to challenge beyond the level. The Traverser may seem majestic, but if there is no equivalent strength, even the Traverser will be the same as the so-called original protagonist Luffy and Ichigo that he saw after he traversed. The original is the protagonist, but in fact, in the real world just poor bastard. A traveler without strength is also just an ant and a ridiculous existence. No matter how much you know, it is useless. Without equal strength, so-called prophets, etc., have no effect at all, and can't play any effect at all. Disintegration. Divine winds move, heaven and earth change, 10 directions kill, mysterious winds appear. Lu Qingkong's voice suddenly became incomparably majestic, and at the same time, there was a faint feeling in the majesty, as if Lu Qingkong's voice and people are clearly in front of you, but if you close your eyes, you will feel a sense of being far away from the ends of the earth. As Lu Qingkong's tongue fell, the sky immediately changed color, and layers of dark clouds appeared in the sky, as if to cover up the entire sky in the virtual circle. Like Jifengyu, it is really a god, and the world has changed. Immediately, a mysterious wind, which is different from other whirlwinds, storms, and strong winds, suddenly condensed from the void and covered Lu Qingkong's body, from being visible to being invisible again. Even an idiot would know that strange path. Xuanfeng has turned into an invisible layer of defense to protect Lu Qingkong. Not only that, Lu Qingkong is now in the state of returning to the blade, and he can't see much change in appearance, but his aura is more and more bizarre and difficult to touch. Not only that, the magic knife in his hand has turned into a ray of light and merged into the mysterious the wind completely disappeared. At this time, Lu Qingkong was fighting empty-handed. He seemed to have no weapons and could not catch the blade of the Zanpakuto, but Wang Shu and Mao Zhiwali were very precise. Now Lu Qingkong's body is the sharpest and hardest anywhere on his body. The Zanpakuto, especially the invisible layer of mysterious wind that cannot be seen, is even more terrifying. Come on. Lu Chengkong gently issued and came to Wang Shu with a swipe. At the same time as Wang Shu's pupils shrank, a fist containing the power of Xuanfeng and flashing electric light was instantly shot out of him. With countless punches, strong power and countless sharp blades of wind, all the thunder and lightning rubbed by the high-speed rotation of the storm bombed on Void King's body. A series of explosions continued to sound, and King Shu seemed to be stupid, and the whole person was knocked out, directly pulling a gap in the desert, and at the same time, Wang Shu shook every time he flew out of the desert 1 meter away. As the wind raged, the thunder and lightning roared, and the murderous aura rolled in, as if the end of the world was coming. It really had nothing to do with the sun and the moon. Terrible attack. Mao Zhawali was surprised. This time she was really surprised, although she knew from Lu Chengkong's breath that Lu Chengkong's disintegration was absolutely extraordinary, but she didn't expect the speed to be so fast at this point. Even she felt like she couldn't keep up. Cough cough. The sudden series of heavy blows caused Wang Shu to vomit blood. The super speed regeneration was already in operation when he was injured, but it was a pity that Lu Chengkong's attack was too fast, too fierce, and too strong. Often, several new wounds have appeared before a single wound has been regenerated. Super speed regeneration is really powerful, but if you get irreparable wounds before the super speed regeneration is completed, or kill the other party before repairing, then you will not be able to. Used. I vomited blood, I was injured, and I was actually injured by a god of death who was just under my strength, but just broke through the Void King. Well, it's really good. I didn't expect you to make me so angry for so many years, stinky brat. You have the right to die under my Bankai. Bankai, slaughter all beings, disaster comes, destroy the slaughter blade. Wang Shu stood in front of him suddenly, holding the blade of slaughter for a while, cutting off the storm, strong wind, thunder and lightning, and sandstorm in front of him. Lu Chengkong, the pitch-black spiritual pressure burst out and rushed into the sky, making the sky that was originally covered by dark clouds even darker. Countless times stronger than before, it seemed that the murderous aura had really turned into a real murderous aura, but it turned into a murderous cyclone and the storm unleashed by Lu Chengkong. The blade became even bigger and more sinister, giving people a heavy sense of oppression but with a sharp edge. At the same time, when the slaughtering blade in the hand completes the complete change of Bankai, the murderous aura of the whole body has changed. It seems that the murderous aura has been enriched to the point of qualitative change, and it has become a slaughtering aura. The stare, it can be said that the invisible murderous aura has become a kind of energy. Take it. After Bankai, Wang Shu didn't have any unnecessary nonsense, and his shots were fierce and fierce. As he swung out a knife, the surging aura of slaughter like an ocean wave carried a chaotic mind, making people feel terrified and inexplicable. His face turned pale, and he couldn't bite Lu Chengkong directly with his sense of shock. Wind and rain, rivers and lakes. After Lu Chengkong collapsed, he passed the test of death once again, and the whole person became more calm and sophisticated. I saw that Lu Chengkong used his legs to generate wind, and the violent gale actually caused water, fire and thunder, and with his incomparable strength, he did not the slightest retreat, directly kicked the slaughtering aura like waves in front of him. Boom. When the two collided, it was like thunder and fire. The female prostitute and the explosion sounded suddenly, and after a stalemate for a moment, the seemingly endless water, fire, and thunder were poured in, and the slaughter chi was directly dispelled. Not only that, Lu Chengkong's figure flickered after dispelling the slaughter, and suddenly came to the top of Wang Shu's head. Go straight to Wang Shu. The crackling sound continued to explode, and Lu Chengkong shouted, move the wind and cloud. He kicked Wang Shu directly on the head and slammed him into the sand, following Lu Chengkong's move. The speed of Lu Chengkong's one-step execution is getting faster and faster, and the movement is more and more elegant, as if it is combined with the wind of the whole world. How can it be so fast? This speed is still rising. Impossible, he is just a virtual king now, he can actually hurt me, and he can actually mobilize the power of heaven and earth. Then I will let you have no strength to be motivated by you, shattered heaven and earth. Wang Shu first shouted in disbelief, and then he was furious. The soaring slaughter aura seemed to penetrate the entire world and destroy it, covering a radius of more than 10 miles. 585 Crisis, the union of King Spirit and Wang Shu. Strange, I can't mobilize the power of the heavens and clouds, is it because of Wang Shu? Lu Chengkong's face changed slightly, but he didn't care too much, as long as he destroyed these slaughter chi. I see how you can mobilize the power of heaven and earth to face me, Dai, the slaughter storm. The slaughter gas full of murderous aura that can corrode the soul and make people mentally chaotic turned into a huge storm and suddenly surrounded Lu Chengkong, facing Lu Chengkong. The sky is a raging wave of destruction. Do you think I can only do this kind of stunt? Idiot, it seems that you don't know me well enough, invincible in all directions. Enter the trick. Lu Chengkong sneered, trying to trap him with one move. If the disintegration only gained his own strength, he would most likely be trapped to death by one move, but after his power and Sophie's power merged, the strength of the two increased simultaneously. Gao, during the battle, Sophie instilled all her own strength into herself. It is not as simple as 1 + 1. 1 knife, 2 spears, 3 swords, 4 halberds, 5 sticks, 6 fists, 7 palms, 8 legs, 9 fingers and 10 claws, a series of terrifying tricks slammed out. It was too fast to describe in words. Straight out of the wind. You can't let him get close, his speed is too fast, he can kill him with a single move from a distance, and Wang Shu's flash. After Bankai, Wang Shu's flash power was significantly increased by more than 10 times, and he suddenly penetrated the sky like a cosmic star. On Lu Chengkong's body, it exploded with a bang, directly blasting out a space hole in the boundless sky. Thank you for helping me break the blockade of heaven and earth. Heaven and earth are concentric, and the strength is broken. Lu Chengkong shouted. Wang Shu's flash just blew up the space, not to mention the slaughter that was blocked between heaven and earth. Gas. Not good. Wang Shu scolded, and at the same time secretly scolded himself that a wise man must be at a loss. If he could kill with one hit, it would be neat and tidy, but the problem is that if it doesn't work, he will beat all the space. Wearing it, let alone the slaughtering aura around him, this time, Lu Chengkong didn't need to destroy it. Wang Shu himself took the initiative to help him a lot, but it's a pity that there is no regret medicine in this world. Suddenly, Lu Chengkong's whole body revolved at a very high speed, and then it turned into the atmosphere and flowed into the heaven and earth, as if at this moment Lu Chengkong was also a part of heaven and earth, and could manipulate all the energies of heaven and earth. All power concentrated. In the midair, a storm-like light suddenly shot out with a terrifying aura that destroyed the sky and the earth, and swept away directly towards Wang Shu. Wherever he passed, the sky shattered, the earth shattered, and countless lightning flashed out. Wang Shu has been overwhelmed by this storm-like energy light. Thunder and lightning. After releasing such a powerful move, Lu Chengkong's body was also revealed, but at the same time as Lu Chengkong reappeared at the same time, a sharp whistling sound that cut through the air came from behind. Lu Chengkong's body was also revealed. Zhang Kong only had time to turn his head to see a thunderbolt like a poisonous dragon rushing towards him. It's a pity that Lu Chengkong didn't have time to dodge, and all his thoughts were lost. He didn't expect that he would also be attacked one day, and the person who attacked him was surprisingly powerful. At the last moment, he only had 2 words left in his heart: Spirit King. Steal the chicken and touch the dog, get out. Just when Lu Chengkong was in despair, a coquettish shout that sounded like the sound of the heavens in Lu Chengkong's ears suddenly came out, with a chi-chi, and at the same time, a thunder and lightning shuttled over, and he was about to devour himself. The lightning was cancelled. Damn Maojihua. When the visitor saw that his ambition was destroyed with a single blow, he immediately became furious. I didn't expect that the dignified King Ling would actually do something like a sneak attack, and even sneak attack on a person whose strength was inferior to him. It's true that the more he lives, the more he goes back. Sure enough, Mao Zhawali's cold words also confirmed Lu Chengkong's opinion. Guessing that if it was someone else, even a sneak attack would not be enough to kill Lu Chengkong, and only a spirit king of the same level as Wang Shu and Mao Zhawali would have this strength. When did I offend so many people? First, Wang Shu wanted to kill me, and King Ling wanted to sneak up on me. My luck has been too weak recently. Lu Chengkong thought gloomily. HMPH, if you don't kill him today, sooner or later he will be another you, but today it's not just him, you'll also die. The king's spirit may have decided to tear his face away, and he's no longer hypocritical and shows his hideousness. On the one hand, at the same time, he shouted at the huge deep pit in front of him with a radius of at least 10 miles. Wang Shu, you don't want people like this to appear, let's kill them both together. Originally, King Ling planned to hide and sit and watch the two tigers fight each other. When Mao Zhawali and Wang Shu were both seriously injured, he appeared immediately, and then used the strongest force to kill them in one fell swoop, and finally devoured them. It's his plan. It's a pity that everything was staged according to his plan, but he didn't expect that a person would appear to disrupt the situation at a critical moment. He didn't pay much attention to it. We'll continue to fight. However, the development of things was completely beyond his expectations. Lu Chengkong became more and more brave in battle. He actually learned to disintegrate under the pressure of death, and even made a breakthrough, and he did not show weakness in the face of Wang Shu, who was already Benkai, and even he also released such a terrifying blow that could be called a devastating blow. Although he knew that Wang Shu was fine, the injury was inevitable, and such an injury could not be repaired in a short period of time. Between the lights and flint, he has already made a decision. Since Ujawali is still in its heyday, and judging from her appearance, it is obvious that he expects to attack her. Even if he attacks her, it will not have much effect. In this case, he set his eyes on Lu Chengkong. He didn't allow another Mao Zhawali to appear, so even if it was a little shameless, he did it and attacked Lu Chengkong. It's just that Mao Zhawali suddenly rescued Lu Chengkong and let him escape. Since he has torn his skin, he has to go on, so he plans to unite with Wang Shu. He knows Wang Shu absolutely, I will agree, and now Wang Shu is injured. After Lu Chengkong was resolved, he joined forces to deal with Mao Zhawali. In the end, it was Wang Shu who was more seriously injured. He had a better chance to devour Mao Zhawali before Wang Shu. Although it took a little risk, but it's the best option and approach right now. Just look at me being injured. You are still the same garbage, but I promise you. Wang Shu's gloomy voice came from the deep pit. Obviously, although he disdains the Spirit King, the alliance proposed by the Spirit King really made him, his heart is moved, and he still has a backer. Even if he is injured, he may not be one step slower than him. Obviously, in Wang Shu and Ling Wang's view, their combination has already settled Lu Chengkong and Mao Zhawali. People. 586 The Amazing Unahakali. Do you two think I don't exist? Zhang Kong, you hold Wang Shu, you don't need to fight him head-on, you just need to fight, it's easy to do at your speed, and I will clear up the Spirit King as soon as possible. Mao Zhawali's tone was astonishing, making both Wang Shu and Ling Wang's faces extremely ugly. You must know that Mao Zhawali was just an existence at the same level as them, and he said such a thing, didn't he underestimate them? Okay, just let me see how you deal with me. King Ling said for the first time that someone dared to look down on him so much. He said 3 good words, and said with an angry smile. You'll find out soon. Mao Zhawali also seemed to be very angry, because Lu Chengkong was almost killed by Wang Shu just now. Lu Chengkong began to think that he was Bachenliu, his godson, most of whom were not joking. Later, another Spirit King attacked and almost killed Lu Chengkong again. As a mother, how could she not protect her calf, not to mention that her godson was almost killed? Reached the extreme. Wang Shu, let's continue. Lu Chengkong looked at Wang Shu, who was safe and sound in front of him and seemed to have no change in his body, but he knew that Wang Shu was really injured, and on the surface it was just regenerated, that's all, but the inner injury can't be recovered in an instant. But even so, he was still very surprised. He didn't expect that such a powerful and fierce blow would only play such a role, but it also aroused his willingness to fight and win, and rushed to Wang Shu to fight him again. Stand up. And Wang Shu seems to be doing it on purpose, or it may be that he has the same idea as King Ling just now, but he fights with Lu Chengkong slowly, trying to delay the time, so that King Ling and Mao Zhawali will lose both. King Ling dared to plot against him, but now King Ling can't lose money by stealing chickens. This is really a tit for tat. My calculation was unsuccessful, and now it has been counter-calculated by chance. King Ling's bowels of regret are all green at this time. If he knew that he would be killed like this, he would not have come out. How could he have thought that Mao Zhawali's reaction would be so great, and it would make Lu Chengkong hold Wang Shu, and Wang Shu also shamelessly happy to see himself fighting with you-know-a-lie like this. He was so depressed that he almost fainted. But no matter what, the battle has already begun, and Zhawali is obviously ruthless, with a strong murderous intention, so he has to fight hard, otherwise he is very likely to be killed. Bankai. Zhawali snorted coldly, not even throwing out the Bankai language. In fact, as long as you break the limit and completely master the Bankai, you don't need to sing the Bankai liberating language when using Bankai, but there are many gods of death. They all choose to sing. In addition to being more showy and majestic, there is also to make their own momentum more vigorous. Of course, the most important thing is to pretend to be B. But now Mao Zhawali obviously doesn't need to do this. Her momentum has climbed to the highest peak with her murderous intent, and what he has to do now is to completely kill the Spirit King with the power of thunder. Let's riot, Li Guang / The King Ling obviously also found out that the matter was serious. It turned out that it wasn't just that he wanted to kill Mao Zhawali. He had already violated this mercy when he had wrong thoughts about Mao Zhawali. Gentleness is the bottom line of a woman with a heart-warming smile like a mother to everyone. She had long decided to kill the King Ling when she had done 3 things, and now that King Ling came to her door, of course she wouldn't let it go, not to mention that King Ling's actions had completely ignited the anger of Zhawali. Looking at the ferocious lightning snake like Li Guang Mao Zhawali's mouth, he drew a glamorous but dangerous smile, waving the Zanpakuto in his hand, and a large and small power and the electric snake released by the Spirit King were completely the same. Electric light directly counteracted the Spirit King's electric snake. If you want to use my Zanpakuto ability against me, don't forget that this is part of my soul. No one in the world knows my Zanpakuto better than me, the strongest Zanpakuto that controls thunder and lightning. I've seen it. The peculiar Zanpakuto ability may play a certain role in dealing with me, and it is simply a foolish way to deal with me with the Thunderbolt, and the Thunderbolt will be destroyed. Seeing Zhawali use his Zanpakuto ability to deal with him, the Spirit King pouted his lips in disdain. He knew very well that after countless years of research, Zhawali would definitely use many powerful and mysterious Zanpakuto ability to the fullest. What he said was right. If Mao Zhawali used other abilities to deal with him, he would really be afraid, but to deal with himself with Thunder Light Slash, it was like Shou Xingdong hanged himself, courting death. All the lightning was useless to him. Thunderbolt shattered. Mao Zhawali was simply copying whatever attack the King of Spirit used to attack him. For a while, the sky above the virtual circle was thundering. Fortunately, this was a very distant and barren place in the virtual circle. It is the area closest to the Void King realm. It is very secretive. How could there be anyone nearby, so no one found out about the battle between the 4 of them? Absorb. Soon, the Spirit King explained why it was a stupid existence to use his ability to deal with him. He saw that the nearby thunder light was actually sucked into the body by the Spirit King. Supplements, like drinking water, can be harmful. That's right. Suzuki of Azuki is able to use all the Zanpakuto abilities that were swallowed by Suzuki and the God of Death in the past, but after all, Hanazuru Uzuru is not like those Zanpakuto masters, such as spirits. Wang, Mao Zihua can use all the abilities of the Spirit King, but her lightning slash is not part of her soul after all. Therefore, she does not have the body of lightning, the soul of lightning, and it is impossible to absorb lightning like him. If Zhawali follows his example, there will only be one end to be electrocuted. Therefore, the Spirit King who discovered this secret so arrogant, calm, and fearless. To be honest, if Mao Zhawali can have the soul of thunder and lightning like him, the body of thunder and lightning, and is completely immune to lightning slash like him, then he really has nothing to do or even fear, because if this is the case, it means that he is innate. It is half worse than Maujawali, and Maujawali is equivalent to being invincible. Because of the loss of the Zanpakuto ability, if the Zanpakuto ability is useless, it is no less than cutting off the arm of the god of death, even if it is the Spirit King, so this is the most fortunate place for the Spirit King, and at the same time, it also responds to the flower of Uji. Lies words. Don't be fooled by the seemingly powerful and incomprehensible ability on the surface. The more powerful the ability actually has its weaknesses, deficiencies, and restricted places. Even if it is Maujawali's ability to make Wangshu, even the most feared Zanpakuto cannot escape this fate. 587 The hidden, deeply hidden flowers. I said it's useless. Give it up. King Ling laughed proudly. After all, this is what he is most proud of, and discovering this secret gave him more confidence when facing Ujawali. Really? Do you think I've really been standing still for thousands of years? Disintegrating. Ujawali's face was still as calm as water, but the cold light in his eyes was enough to freeze a person's heart and lungs, and the Zanpakuto was released. In front of his chest, the Reiatsu, which made the space vibrate to the point of rattling and could be broken at any time, erupted from Unahakali's body, directly dispelling the dark clouds in the sky. This woman is crazy. The Spirit King saw his eyes widen, but he didn't dare to neglect the movements in his hands. He immediately used disintegration. The countless thunderbolts that fell from the sky made the Spirit King seem to be in control of the whole world. Like the god of thunder and lightning, the spiritual pressure also skyrocketed. Let's fight or not. It's better to fight to lose both, or it's better to die together. Then I can become the most powerful existence in the world by devouring the two of you. Wangshu saw that both of them used disintegration, and was even more happy, as if they had eaten the treasures of heaven and earth, and laughed wildly in his heart, but because of this, Lu Chengkong seized the opportunity to be distracted. One move, Shifeng invincible, vomited blood again and was injured when he was hit, making Wangshu furious and no longer distracted. He dealt with Lu Chengkong seriously, but he did not make a ruthless attack. Obviously, if he killed Lu Chengkong, he would probably let him. The exposed Ujawali gave up the Spirit King and came to find him, but at that time it would not be worth the loss. HMPH, dare to underestimate me, I'll make you look good later. I'm about to finish the accumulation. When the time comes, you who underestimate the enemy will be severely injured, and then you will see what else you can be proud of. Seeing that Wangshu underestimated himself, he was not ruthless, and even left 3 points of strength. Lu Chengkong not only did not feel the anger of being despised, but felt happy in his heart. After all, there is still a certain gap between him and Wangshu, so it would be better. Let him have more time to prepare a powerful trick. After all, he has just learned to disintegrate. What can compare to Maujawali and the others who have learned disintegration and completely mastered the existence of disintegration for countless years? It still takes a little time to use the most powerful trick of disintegration, and the longer it takes. After reaching the extreme, the power will be greater. At that time, Wangshu, who despised the enemy and despised himself, will leave a shadow of a lifetime of unpleasantness. Ling Wang, time is running out. Today I will let you see my support. I originally planned to deal with you after Wangshu was cleaned up, and I will let you see in advance now. Well, this is the ultimate move that I spent tens of thousands of years to complete. Maujawali's words changed the face of the Spirit King. The strongest Zanpakuto of the flame type and the strongest Zanpakuto of the lightning type actually merged. You must know that the energies of lightning and flame are the most tyrannical, let alone the most violent. The energy of the two Zanpakuto, the strong thunder and lightning and the strongest flame, can actually fuse the abilities of the two Zanpakuto with the strongest destructive power. As soon as this idea appeared, he didn't believe it for the first time, but the fact was in front of him, and he had to believe it with his own eyes. The appearance of the thunderlight burning with crimson flames made him feel an unprecedented sense of crisis at that moment. At this moment, he finally understood why he would look at himself with a mocking look every time he had the help of Maujawali to defeat Wangshu in the previous battles between the virtual circle and the soul world, as if he had done something wrong. It was an extremely stupid thing, and at this moment he finally understood what Wang Shu's mocking eyes were mocking him for. Die, flame prison thunderlight. Maoji Walai Jiao drank. The flame thunderlight on Zanpakuto shot up into the sky, and a very unique black and red dark cloud condensed in an instant. The Spirit King only felt his soul seemed to be locked by an invisible force, giving him a feeling of being invisible, which was obviously the work of that huge strange black and red cloud in the sky. Boom! Chi-chi! Suddenly, the center of the black-red dark cloud was facing the head of the King of Spirit, and a series of flaming thunderlight fell. Because these flames and lightnings gave him a strong sense of crisis, he had to use powerful stunts to resist. Thunder and lightning. Thunder moves for 9 days. The Spirit King moved his hand without any ambiguity. At the moment when his life was threatened, the Spirit King still did not care about anything, just like the thunder god who summoned thunder and lightning, countless electric shots. It sprayed out from the body of the Spirit King's Zanpakuto Liguangzan, as if the cultivator could only be passive and low-grade in the face of divine punishment. HMPH, I still want to resist, but I have prepared a feast for you. 5 thunders hit the top, and the flame demons burn. Ujawali inserted the Zanpakuto in his hand into the desert, and the speed of the black-red thundercloud fell. The faster and faster, the more powerful the power, each landing is no longer one after another, but 5 thick fire thunder lights like buckets. Not only that, a flame demon composed entirely of flames and lightning suddenly appeared below the Spirit King, waving a fist that was blazing with flames and electric lights to hit the Spirit King, causing the Spirit King to be exhausted for a while. Return to the blade, roar the earth, the Lion King. At this moment, the Spirit King felt the power of Mao Zhawali, and he obviously surpassed himself and Wang Shu. Although the level is only a stage stronger, he and Wang Shu are both high-level Spirit Kings, Wang Shu, but Mao Zhawali is obviously the peak of Wang Shu, Spirit King. Not only that, he completed the feat of Zanpakuto's ability fusion in a taboo-like manner, and his strength has been greatly improved, which has already overwhelmed him and Wang Shu in one fell swoop. Is it useful to return to the blade? I knew early on that you had murderous intentions towards me. Do you want to take advantage of the third thing I promised you? Even if the sky doesn't come, I can let you 2 steal chickens without losing rice, and mantises catch cicadas and yellows. The sparrow is right behind, but in front of the oriole, and the mantis is just a hunter disguised as a cicada, and I am the hunter disguised as a cicada. Quote. Ujawali sneered. Lu Qingkong completely understood at this moment. No wonder Ujawali has always been fearless. It turns out that another breakthrough in her strength should be one of the 2 biggest gains in these thousands of years. One is to realize the mutual integration of Zanpakuto's abilities, any one of which will make Ujihua's sky fall in shock, let alone get both at the same time. Oops, if King Ling asked her to kill her, and then he devoured me, I would definitely die. Wang Shu finally understood why he was uneasy when he saw Mao Jiwalai before. Jihuali has always been hiding his strength. After this moment of complete eruption, after pulling the Spirit King down, he intends to completely solve the 2 of them in one fell swoop. Uno Hanaritsu, who has shown such strength, actually does not need to use disintegration at all, just using Bankai can already use disintegration. The Spirit King of Xie plus returning blade was defeated or even killed, but it may take a little longer. 588 defeated Spirit King. The situation suddenly changed. It's just that it's easy to cause the king's scruples. It would be very dangerous for the king to flee without a fight, but Ujawali used disintegration, pretending to be on an equal footing with the king of the spirit, and the king followed the collapse. Immediately after the solution, he showed his true strength and unleashed a thunderous attack. You must know that Bankai alone can solve the disintegrating Spirit King, let alone the disintegrating Uno Hanalai. It won't take long for the Spirit King to continue like this. Certain death. After thinking about it clearly, Wang Shu immediately made a decision, immediately used disintegration, and the slaughtering aura suddenly changed again. If it was a liquid-level slaughtering aura before, it is now solid. Those more powerful slaughtering chi actually turned into countless physical slaughtering blades, each of which seemed to have the power of the original Zanpakuto slaughtering blade. It was only by turning into the atmosphere and then merging into the sky and the earth that it was dangerous to escape this completely fatal blow, but even so, Lu Chengkong was still scratched. Ah, Lu Chengkong, who turned into a romantic world, couldn't see his figure, but his screams came out, Lu Chengkong. At this moment, I understand what Wang Shu's disintegration is. It seems simple, but the power is too terrifying. In addition to the fact that the slaughtering energy that turns into an entity can form countless powerful slaughtering blades, the slaughtering blade of each one is too powerful. The blade actually contained a terrifying spiritual attack. Lu Chengkong was just cut through a wound, but he felt an aura of destruction, slaughter, madness, and despair rushing directly into his brain, making Lu Chengkong only feel a tingling pain spread all over his body. His brain, it's like it's about to explode. Not only that, he has a mental attack that seems to collapse at any time, becoming a nerd, a fool, and the mental attack that merges with the negative emotions in the slaughter atmosphere can completely destroy anyone's sanity. Just a wound is so serious. Well, if you get hit with a knife, it's basically over. You are lucky, slaughter sword net. Wang Shu snorted coldly, but he did not expect Lu Chengkong to escape a blow, but it was enough for Lu Chengkong to feel better. Now the most important thing is to stop Mao Zihua from killing fiercely. The dead king was empty, so the overwhelming slaughter blade formed a huge sword net that covered the sky and shot at Mao Jihuali, obviously wanting to interrupt Mao Jihuali's attack. Are you here to join in the fun? Mao Jihuali mocked Wang Shu with disdain. His mind moved, and an 8-flame-headed electric snake burning with fire and thunder light appeared out of thin air and directly entangled Wang Shu, while concentrating on planning please kill as soon as possible the mighty spirit king who has returned to the blade and turned into a lion-headed human body as soon as possible. Gui Ren, tiger is like a mountain forest. Tiger King. It's no wonder that they are born dead enemies, and Guiren are all on the same level. One is the Tiger King and the other is the Lion King, both of which exist as kings. It's just that they are the first Phantom and the first Reaper in the world of death. Of course, they are not comparable to Grimjiao of the Leopard King. If Grimjiao is the first Phantom in the world of death, his Leopard Phantom will not be there. So far, it's only in the late stage of Vastord. After all, there is not much difference in what form of virtuality. It's just a shape, and of course there are some special abilities, so don't think they are the Tiger King. The Lion King Shu and Grimjiao are the same animal form, and they are not far from the leopard in the animal world. Other than that, I thought that the difference between the three of them is not big, but in fact the difference is still very different. Is it useful? Let's grow a 9th head, the 9-flame-head electric snake. Unahakare cut a sound, and old Yamamoto's Benkai changed immediately. It may have been disintegrated by Unahakare's use. The 9th snake head appeared. Don't underestimate that tight is just a snake's head. Look at Wang Shu's ugly expression after returning to the blade. You can see how big the gap between 9 heads and 8 heads is. No, the disintegration of the strongest Zanpakuto in the flame type mixed with thunder and lightning can actually entangle me. If the Spirit King dies, the next one will be me. No, I am the strongest Wang Shu, absolutely cannot. To die, it seems, can only be so. Countless thoughts echoed in Wang Shu's mind. In an instant, he seemed to have made an extremely difficult decision and turned to look at the Spirit King, and the Spirit King on the other side seemed to be just like Wang Shu. The eyes of the people met, and they saw the common idea from each other's eyes, and they nodded at the same time. Shu, Death God, the two bodies fuse. King Ling and Wang Shu roared in unison, completely scrutinizing the 9-flame-headed electric snake and the sky's fiery thunder and lightning that were like punishment from the sky, and rushed towards each other. Boom! Not only did the two collide with each other at such a fast speed, not only did they not knock each other out, but it was as if 2 drops of water collided and merged into each other. I saw a dazzling white light emitting from the two of them. Surprised, under the surprised eyes, the two actually merged into one. Boom! A spiritual pressure that made the whole world breathless suddenly burst out, and the entire desert earth in the virtual circle seemed to tremble. Even the virtual night palace in the center of the virtual circle, which was far away, inevitably shook. At one point, the entire Zai Palace was almost turned upside down, and Aizen was so frightened that she thought something had happened. It's a pity that the range of his perception of spiritual pressure is limited. The virtual circle is so large, and Wang Shu and the others are at the edge of the virtual circle and the closest area to Wang Zuji. If it is so easy for Aizen to perceive that he is not Aizen, in the end, he can only conclude that it may be the cause of the earthquake. Hiss. When the light dissipated, it revealed Wang Shu and the Spirit King at this time. It should not be said that it was after the fusion of the two. The two Zanpaku swords were combined into one. Originally, the returning blade of the Spirit King became the Lion King. Although Wang Shu's returning blade is the Tiger King, his appearance has not changed in the slightest. It's just that after they fit together, the two of them are more inclined to the appearance of the Spirit King returning to the sword, a head like a tiger, but the tiger's head is covered with a layer of thick hair that is only a lion's head, and there are two long backs on the back. One tail is a tiger's tail, and the other is a lion's tail. The body is the color of a lion, but it has the stripes of a tiger, and there is a mighty king character on the forehead. But all of this is not what bothers Lu Chengkong and Maoji Walai the most. After all, this is just an appearance. What really shocked them was that the combined strength of Wang Shu and Ling Wang after the combination actually surpassed Maoji in one fell swoop. Flowers are strong. Jia, I can't think of it. Maoji Wali, after we were born, we have such an ability that requires the fusion of two bodies, but we think it is a shame to merge with each other, so no one has known this for thousands of years. I didn't expect you to be today. You will be forced to this point, and you will die well, and you, from a Peak-Scredo battle to the fact that the virtual king can actually beat me to the present, and can die in the hands of the strongest, you too died right. 589 The long-prepared trick. HMPH, can you do it? Don't be self-righteous. Ujawali snorted coldly and said mockingly, although she was surprised by the strength after the combination, she did not hesitate at all. Haha, Maojawali, do you think you are smart or ignorant? After the fusion, I have surpassed the Spirit King and Wang Shu, and have reached the level of Ling Shu. Forget it, the dead don't need to know too much, slaughter Li Guang net. Ling Shu, the name after the combination, and the name that surpassed the level after Wang Shu and Ling Wang, Hihi Isho. Ignoring the mockery of Ujawali, the sword net flashing with electric light reappeared again. Go! With Ling Shu's roar, he waved his hands. With the speed and destructive power of Ling Shu's strongest Zanpakudo, Wang Shu's slaughtering sword net was faster and more powerful. The space where they passed was directly penetrated and pulled out a space crack. Obviously the space barrier could no longer bear it. The flaming snake is raging, and the electric fire is terrifying. Maoji Walai did not retreat. Obviously, she wanted to see how strong the current spirit was. The Juyantu electric snake turned into an electric fire and directly merged into Maoji Walai. On the sword, with the strong swing of Ujihua, the Zanpakudo stunt that contained kendo attacks was immediately released, and a huge electric fire blade spanning at least 5 kilometers in space carried the raging thunder and lightning, burning the sky. The flames suddenly covered the overwhelming sword net. Boom! The two collided, first with a deafening explosion, and then the nearby space shattered layer by layer at a speed visible to the naked eye, revealing the extremely black space turbulence, which was accidentally sucked in. Basically it can be said to be 88. Haha, Maojawali, are you out of strength? If you only have this level, then you can die. The sword and net are united and penetrate the world. Ling Shu saw that his attack was blocked, not only not angry, but big laugh it out. With his control, the slaughtering lightning blades of Man Tianchi actually flew to one location and combined into a huge slaughtering blade, with a terrifying might that pierced through the heavens and the earth. The blade of electric fire penetrated, and it shot at Uno Hana Lai unabated. It is strange that in the face of such a powerful and domineering slaughtering thunder blade Maojawali actually behaved very calmly, which was completely beyond Ling Shu's expectations. Forbidden art, time stop, forbidden art, space blockade. This can finally explain why Uno no Hana is so calm, and the ghostly forbidden art of time and space was continuously used by her. These two forbidden art ghosts Tao can be said to be the most difficult to master, and it is also the most consuming, but it does not matter to Maojawali. I thought you were prepared. How long do you think you can stop the time around me? How long the space is sealed, and I can break free in a few seconds? Ling Shu said disdainfully, but he breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Obviously, Maojawali made Wang Shu and Ling Wang very jealous. God knows if she has a whole card. But the victory and defeat are often decided in these few seconds. Thank you very much for focusing on the godmother who can threaten you because of your strength. You don't remember me at all, and because you despised me. It just took me enough time to figure it out. Quote. That's right, Lu Chengkong is taking advantage of Wang Shu's contempt for him to keep secretly preparing this move, trying to maximize the power of this move. Originally, he still had a headache. How could he completely hit Wang Shu and King Ling without giving them a little escape? There was a chance to evade, but after they merged, they completely despised themselves, thinking that their attacks could not work against them at all, and they focused their attention on Uno Hanalai. So he found an opportunity and signaled Maojawali to find a way to seal the spirit void for a second or two. Although Maojawali was puzzled, Lu Chengkong had always been in an endless stream of trump cards, and he just said that he was the only one when she was at the peak. She dared to fight Wang Shu. She believed that Lu Chengkong definitely had his own trump card, so she nodded and agreed with a hint of curiosity and trust in Lu Chengkong. I saw Lu Chengkong suddenly appear behind Ling Shu, who was blocked by space and events, and his body exuded a tragic, decisive, and strong momentum like breaking the axe and sinking the boat. At the same time, Lu Chengkong's murderous aura was unreservedly released. Come out. Not only that, the slaughtering aura that pervaded nearby was originally advanced from the most basic murderous aura, and because the spirit was blocked for a few seconds, these slaughtering auras were not controlled by anyone, just in the heaven and earth. Drift. Now being controlled and absorbed by Lu Chengkong makes his murderous aura and aura even more enormous. If spirit void breaks the forbidden technique of time and space, Lu Chengkong will never be able to absorb it, but unfortunately it can be said to be an unknown thing now. Under the staring eyes of Ling Shu and Maojawali, Lu Chengkong was actually divided into 10. The strength of each Lu Chengkong was exactly the same, and they were all at the level of the Void King. These 10 Lu Chengkong appeared at the same time, posing in various poses, but with the appearance of these poses, the momentum of these 10 Lu Chengkong became more and more powerful. From the beginning, it was only the first stage of the Virtual King, and it suddenly soared to the top of the Virtual King. It's terrible. Yes, but the scarier ones are yet to come. Unique swordsmanship. Ask the Heaven Shooting, Destiny Swordsmanship, Daiyuji Spectrum, Tiger Roaring Stick Collection, Shanghai Quan Jing, Xuanwu Divine Palm, Strong Legs Ju, Yuanrong Golden Finger. The 10 absolutely powerful tricks of Oracle Dragon Claw were used by 10 Lu Chengkong. Ling Shu, who had eaten this attack once, when combined together, Ling Shu would describe Wang Shu, immediately pouted his lips in disdain. Such an attack would only hurt himself at most, and when it was still Wang Shu, now it becomes after the combination. With Ling Shu, how could such an attack make him care? But soon he was dumbfounded and stunned. 10 or 1, and all 10 directions will be killed. 10 Lu Chengkong seemed to feel the disdain in Ling Shu's eyes, and immediately glanced at Ling Shu mockingly. Reintegrated into one, turned into a ray of light thousands of feet, flashing 10 different kinds of light Lu Chengkong. The momentum of the body first soared tenfold with the unity of the 10, and then this stunt was no longer a series of violent hits like before, but a perfect distribution of power among the 10 stunts, balancing each other, and then these 10 stunts were actually completely integrated into one move, which was enough to turn the world upside down. That's right, when the 10 Lu Chengkong merged into one, it increased tenfold under the condition of the peak of the Virtual King. Even if it is worse, the next attack can already threaten the powerhouse of Wang Shu and the King of the Spirit, and now it is in after 10 times. Lu Chengkong's body has been improved by 10 times, and even Ling Shu's eyes after the fusion have flashed a trace of shock and fear. 590 flaws of fusion. It's not over yet. Even if you increase the power of 10 times twice in a row, I think it will only be a minor injury to you, who has surpassed Wang Shu, Spirit King, as a Ling Shu after fusion. If you are still the Spirit King or Wang Shu, I can definitely injure or even kill you, but unfortunately you are Ling Shu now. After killing all 10 directions, I just exhausted the spiritual pressure of my whole body at most, and I can fully recover after training for 10 days. In this case, no matter how I use this trick, now I have no fighting strength, so I might as well play a little bigger. Bar. Lu Chengkong suddenly sneered at Isho. When King Ling and King Shu sent Team Zero and Wang Shu's guards to attack him and his family, he had already sentenced them to death. Now maybe it's time for them to come for a lifetime. An unforgettable lesson. Stop. Ujawali's face changed slightly, and a bad feeling appeared in her heart. What are you going to do? Ling Shu's face was also very ugly. If it was just the current level of killing in all directions, it would only be a minor injury to him now, but the one in Lu Chengkong's eyes. The madness made him feel a very uncomfortable feeling in his heart. What you do, of course, is at the expense of your own spiritual pressure. Burning the spiritual pressure. Lu Chengkong's face was crazy, and the violent spiritual pressure on his body actually weakened at a speed visible to the naked eye. That's all, but in fact, from just now to now, after Lu Chengkong completely burnt out the spiritual pressure, only 1 second has passed. Although Lu Chengkong can no longer feel the slightest spiritual pressure, he is like an ordinary person who has lost the power of death, but Lu Chengkong's aura is constantly rising at the expense of his own spiritual pressure. At the cost of losing the power of death for 10 years, Lu Chengkong may have reached the most powerful point in this attack. This is the reward I gave you back. Lu Chengkong roared, his hands like a pair of dragons going out to sea, and he pushed hard against Ling Shu who was starting to struggle frantically. Click. A beam of light filled with destruction and murderous intent like an energy cannon immediately shot out from Lu Chengkong's hands, killing all the 10 directions, and the space of 10 kilometers was actually broken in layers, especially when the 10 directions were the closest to the killing. The space was shattered directly, and the killing of all directions directly penetrated the space and instantly descended on Ling Shu who had just broken free from the shackles of space and time. Don't. Ah. Ling Shu only had time to let out a terrified scream before being completely engulfed by Shifang Xie. After Shifang Xie was released from his body, Lu Chengkong immediately became just like him when he first came to the world of death. Although it is not powerless to fight chickens, the body is no different from that of ordinary humans. Of course, it does not have the ability to cross the sky and falls directly from the sky, but when it hits the ground, it is not as violent as the desert. The contact, instead, was a hug full of warmth, love, family affection, and comfort, and 2 balls of flesh no less than Matsumoto Ranju rested on Lu Chengkong's body. If I have this kind of enjoyment, I'd rather come back several times to kill all the 10 directions. Lu Chengkong thought proudly, others would not lose their strength in life or death, this guy is good, in order to enjoy the hug of his godmother Maoji Huili, wish I could come a few more times. You guy can never make me feel at ease. Compared to Bachenliu, I think you can make me feel more at ease. That's right, Ujawali hugged Lu Chengkong at a critical moment. It can be said that she exists in the world of death. It was the first time in years that he was so close to a man. Of course, it was also the first time that she hugged a man. You must know that she has been guarding her body to the extreme for so many years. No one should try to get close to her, especially a man, but only Lu Chengkong made her not resist. This distressed feeling couldn't help but scolded coquettishly, so Lu Chengkong, who knew this, was very proud, and his chauvinism was fully satisfied. Have you ever seen a child who can make parents feel at ease? It was at this moment that Lu Chengkong's complicated feelings towards Maoji Huili came out again, but this time it was no longer 2 kinds of feelings, but a kind of affection for his mother that completely overwhelmed his affection for her. He could see that when he felt Maojawali, he would treat himself the same as he treated Bachenliu. No. However, before you teach me a lesson, you should solve Ling Shu first. My attack from all directions won't kill him, but it also allowed me to discover the flaw in his fusion, which can also be said to be a weakness. Lu Chengkong looked at the ravages ahead, raised his head in a messy space and said to Mao Zhawali, "Just now he took all his strength and made his body very weak, worse than ordinary people. Isn't dead yet." Mao Zhawali's face changed slightly. She knew that she was in danger even if she was killed in all directions just now, let alone being blocked by her own ghostly forbidden time and space. Unable to dodge, the defense releases the spiritual void that is blocked by the ultimate trick. Of course he's not dead, although he is only forcibly promoted by fusion. It's not really surpassing Wangshu, Spirit King, even if he can't compare to the real Spirit Void, but now he is a genuine Spirit Void after all. But the strength is far worse than the breakthrough in cultivation. But don't be afraid, the killing from all directions just now not only injured him, but also exposed his flaws. Lu Chengkong smiled weakly, but lay in Ujawali's arms with peace of mind. At this moment, she completely believed what Bachinliu said, and the tactile feeling from behind was definitely no less than that of Matsumoto Ranju. It is so huge that it may even be worse than it is. You must know that he sleeps with Matsumoto Ranju every day. How can the size of Ranju's increasingly huge breasts surpass the original book? How can he escape his understanding? So he felt the touch behind him, and compared in his heart, Lu Chengkong has already decisions and affirmations that can be made. It is indeed the same as what Yakian Ryu said. Without exaggerating, hidden under the wide robes of Ujawali, there is a pair of first altitudes that are tied for the first place with Matsumoto Ranju, but one is the blonde cow and the other is black-haired. Cow royal sister mature. Weakness. Mao Zhawali just focused on Lu Chengkong's body. Where did he notice the spiritual void that was completely hit by the 10 directions and was in a ray of light? And even if he wanted to look, he couldn't see it. By looking at a ghost in the vast expanse, only Lu Chengkong, the releaser of all killing in 10 directions, can perceive all the dynamics of Lingshu through the energy of all killing in 10 directions. 591 Sunflower water. Absolute zero. Yes, it can even be said to be the weakness of their fusion. I don't think their fusion time will be long, and they will be weak for a period of time after the fusion is lifted. Not only that, as long as it is an attack that can hurt them, or an attack that reaches a certain level, the time for their fusion will continue to be shortened, and even if it is strong enough, it will break them up from the fusion state at once, and start again. Change back to Wangshu and Ling Wang. A gleam of light flashed in Lu Chengkong's eyes. Just now, he clearly saw Lingshu's body, which was killed by all directions, swayed for a moment, divided into Lingshu and Wangshu, and then joined together in an instant. If Lu Chengkong hadn't concentrated on looking at it, he really wouldn't have noticed the change in that moment, and he would have even thought it was an illusion. Therefore, Lu Chengkong dared to come to this conclusion only through a series of facial changes before the fusion of Wangshu and Ling Wang and the change in Lingshu just now. So I'm going to release the strongest attack now. Ujawali is after all, she has too many Zanpakuto abilities and has seen all kinds of secret techniques. Of course, knowing that every secret technique has its weaknesses and flaws, the more powerful it is, the more peculiar it is. Mao Zhawali's tens of thousands of years of experience is indeed not comparable to Lu Chengkong, a little devil who has been for hundreds of years. At once, he analyzed the key relationship, and at the same time recalled the appearance of Wangshu and King Ling before the fusion, and believed Lu Chengkong's words in his heart. No, you are starting to prepare now. The 10-direction killing just now includes two types of offensives, attacking and defending in Shifang Invincible. It can completely block him for a while, and it is enough for you to release the strongest blow. Lu Chengkong stood up forcibly, and under the worried and distressed eyes of Ujawali, he walked aside to signal that Ujawali didn't need to take care of himself. Chalongyan, the strongest Zanpakuto of the water type, Hingrenmaru, the most powerful Zanpakuto of the ice type. Let's disintegrate and fuse. Ujawali also knew what to do, so she put away the emotions in her heart, the fluctuations, in a blink of an eye, returned to the usual calm state of mind, a water dragon, an ice dragon. There were also monstrous waves that formed an underwater abyss beside Mao Zhawali. At the same time, countless snowflakes began to fall in the sky. A strange scene appeared. Two water dragons and ice dragons seemed to control the sea and the sky respectively. A strange scene appeared. The temperature in a large area nearby has dropped to the extreme. Under such ultra-low temperature, the waves in the sky on the left of Maujawali are already frozen, but now it seems that they have not received the slightest. In general, it is still wreaking havoc in the sky and the earth. It turns out that the more the water, the more powerful the ice pill, but if the power is greatly weakened in the deserts where the water is dry, all the water is its weapon, but it does not mean that it can create endless of moisture. Without the help of natural moisture, Binglun Wan can also create ice and snow through the infusion of the user's spiritual pressure, but this consumes the user's spiritual pressure, and cannot be combined with the outside world. However, if you have the strongest Zanpakuto in the water system, you can use the spiritual pressure to transform the Zanpakuto to create water in the sky and ocean waves. There is too much water in the abyss of the sea. It's just continuous superposition and improvement, isn't it? So Godmother also fuses Shalongyan and Binglunwan after disintegrating, making up for each other's shortcomings and becoming a truly powerful ice-water slasher Pakuto. Lu Chengkong smiled, thinking of the battle between Hitsugaya Toshiro and Harabel in the original book. They were all waiting for more water. Harinmaru dominates all the sky, and Shalongyan dominates all sea areas. It is complementary and perfect. Haiyuan Ice Dragon King. The Haiyuan Ice Dragon King, which is completely different from the water dragons and ice dragons made by Maujawali himself, can be said to be more majestic, domineering, hideous, and the strongest Zanpakuto in the water system. It is perfectly integrated with the ability of the strongest Zanpakuto of the ice type, and it is too powerful. The slaughter of thunder light, the sky and the earth fall. Suddenly, the spiritual void that was bound in the white energy broke out. As soon as he came out, he immediately felt the changes in Maujawali's body, as well as the snowflakes and water waves all over the sky. With the support of endless moisture, the snowflakes are getting bigger and bigger, and the density is simply scary. So he didn't dare to say anything, and directly used the strongest stunt that can be produced in an instant, hoping to kill Ujawali before he released this stunt that made him feel heart palpitations, or beat him. It is a pity that the imagination is beautiful, but the reality is absolutely cruel. It's been a long time since you came out, the world is frozen, absolutely zero. Ujawali didn't know if it was because of the fusion of Haiyuan Ice Dragon King, but her smile gave people a cold and biting feeling. The Binglun Wan in Hitsugaya's hands is just a little trouble, but it is only in the hands of the Godmother that the Binglun Wan can exert its power, but this should not be the strongest attack of the Godmother, it can only be regarded as her strongest. One of her attacks, she has so many Zanpakuto abilities, she should have a stunt that is indistinguishable from her. Quote. Lu Chengkong thought about the Bingran pills used by Toshiro Hitsugaya, and then compared the Bingran pills used by Ujawali. He couldn't help but sighed, the two were completely incomparable, and the gap was too great. Hinglun Maru is simply a small earthworm, and Uno Hana is the real ice dragon who dominates the sky and arrogantly. A cold air that can freeze even the space directly turned into a cold air storm and swept over it directly. Whether it was the sky or the desert underfoot, the snowflakes that kept falling from the sky were all frozen. That's right, even the snowflakes. It can be frozen, and there is nothing in the world that cannot be frozen. This is the real absolute zero. What? Such a cold wind storm immediately made Lingshu's entire body frozen, and the endless extreme freezing gas continued to erode Lingshu's body, mind and soul, making him feel a sense of collapse. It's just that the more Lingshu struggles, the faster the freezing speed on his body, and the entire space of heaven and earth nearby is completely frozen in the blink of an eye, and Lingshu of course also becomes an ice Li. The combination of the water element and the ice element, the water element as the endless energy source of the ice element, is truly extraordinary. Lu Chengkong had Maujawali's secret protection, but of course he did not receive the absolute 0 degree of ice. Wait, it's not that simple, those waters are actually so corrosive, a bit like sunflower water, they all have extremely high corrosive power. Such water as the ice under the energy of course has a very strong freezing corrosive power. No wonder Lingshu screamed in agony just now. 592 Defeat an escaped spirit void. It seems that the godmother should be the first person in the world of death gods, even if it is Ling Wang and Wang Shu, she is one step behind. Lu Chengkong sighed inwardly as he watched Ling Shu, who was constantly being eroded by powerful corrosive freezing gas and turned into ice. To be honest, although he felt the extraordinariness of Maojawali many years ago, at most I thought Uno Hanalei and Old Man Yamamoto were on the same level. That Maojawali would be so strong, that she would be the captain of Team Zero, and her strength was actually He Wangshu and Ling Wang. A level, even stronger. Just as Lu Chengkong breathed a sigh of relief, just as he was about to speak, a sudden change suddenly sounded, and a click sounded suddenly, and then a lightning-like light flashed past, making Lu Chengkong, who was just an ordinary person, unable to react at all. Dragon of Slaughtering Thunder. A body completely composed of thunder and lightning, surrounded by circles of dead gray cloud-like things, biting towards Lu Chengkong at a speed that could not cover his ears, while still holding his hands at the present. Chicken Power shot out an electric snake. It's miserable. If I knew it earlier, I wouldn't be so crazy. Lu Chengkong was very depressed. Now he has no chance to resist, he can only stare at the oncoming thunder and lightning that is enough to turn him into powder. On oneself. However, he is not afraid. His experience and his state of mind have long forged a heart for him to see through life and death and not be afraid of life and death. Death is not at all mysterious to him, not strange, and people are not afraid of the unknown. Only the things that have been learned will be scary, but the things that have been learned are not so scary, which is the case with Lu Chengkong now. Chi. The expected pain did not appear. Instead, it was a figure who did not look tall, but was deeply imprinted in Lu Chengkong's heart at this moment, blocking Lu Chengkong's face with a figure as unattainable as a different mountain. Hee, you're really right. There really isn't a child who can give his parents peace of mind. I can see that both you and Bachanliu are orphans. My mother, no matter how you hide it, you can't deceive me. The loneliness and sadness in the depths of your eyes can't deceive me. I don't know if you have a mother in your heart that you didn't recognize me. After all, it was just a joke when you called me godmother at first, but I can tell you that no matter what happened in the past, at least at this moment I can say with certainty that I really see you as my child. Wu Zhawali looked at Lu Chengkong with a warm heart-piercing smile and a pair of tender eyes, but the corners of her mouth were slowly bleeding, which made her look very poignant and beautiful. In this scene, Mao Zhawali's appearance were deeply engraved in Lu Chengkong's heart. Obviously, she rushed over to save Lu Chengkong regardless of Ling Shu's attack, so she was injured, and it was very heavy. After all, the other party was the one who gave up, and only Shu M was the main side, Spirit King, Dian_Chin. At the same time, it also awakened the sadness in the depths of his heart. Wu Zhawali was right. On the surface, he really didn't care, and even he thought he didn't care anymore, but Wu Zhawali's words were true. It reminded him of his life on Earth. When I was a child, I watched other people's parents act coquettishly and pamper them, but I was faced with coldness and loneliness in the orphanage. In order to survive, I had to force myself to mature. When I came out to work, I saw other people's children had their parents arranged. Any picture of helping everything when he was a child flashed across Lu Chengkong's eyes instantly, and a tear flashed in his eyes. Heaven is coming. Mao Zhawali didn't say anything, and didn't notice Lu Chengkong's psychological changes at this time, because there was still something to do for her, so she turned around and slashed. The infinitely magnified 9-colored ribbon like Kurosaki Ichigo is very similar to the attack of Kurosaki Ichigo, but it is much stronger than Wuyu. The slash directly ripped apart the space and slashed into a fusion state. Approaching the body of Ling Shu, the expensive one, at the same time, the countless snowflakes falling from the sky kept making her body bloom with ice flowers blooming on Ling Shu's body, apparently wanting to freeze again. Let's go. Ling Shu's face changed greatly, spiritual pressure burst out all over his body, and dozens of thunderbolts were released from his body to break the ice flowers, and then he rose into the sky and left directly, and Ling Shu separated again just before his figure disappeared. After becoming the Spirit King and Wang Shu, they disappeared in front of Ujawali. Speaking of which, Ling Shu is really pitiful. If it wasn't for Lu Chengkong's shadow, and then he discovered the weak point, and then broke the blockade of Shifang Invincible, after coming out, he was concentrated by Mao Zhawali. The hits again, leaving him no chance and time to display the strength that appeared in him, which has far surpassed Unahakali. It can be said that this time is largely due to luck. If you really fight, even if Ling Shu is not as good as the real Ling Shu, it will not take much time to clean up Mao Zhawali, who is just at the peak of Wang Shu, Spirit King. With so many tricks, his fusion nearly collapsed. As the fusion time continues to decrease, and the more times he is attacked, the more times he is actually injured, and the closer he gets to the time when the fusion is released, the weaker his strength will be. About 50–60% or even maybe not 50 to 60%. Otherwise the hit Ujawali just now would not be a serious injury, but an instant kill. It can be said that from the beginning to the end of the battle, Ling Shu has not been able to exert his full strength once. First, he killed all 10 directions with one move, which reduced his combat power by 20% to 30%. When Mao Zhawali came back to absolute zero, it weakened by 20%. 30%, and the last one is the arrival of the heavens, which directly disperses the spirit from the fusion state, which is really a tragic baby. He obviously had the strength to kill Lu Chengkong and Mao Zhawali without much effort, but he didn't have the chance to play it, and was abruptly repelled. It has to be said that sometimes luck is also a part of strength. Are you gone? Well, if he doesn't leave, maybe I can't support it. Ujawali muttered to himself, suddenly spitting out blood. His eyes slowly closed, and he fell backwards. Fortunately, Lu Chengkong on the side caught her. What's wrong with you? Lu Chengkong found that he was a little afraid to look at Mao Jihuali. After all, his feelings for Mao Jihuali were very complicated. He had feelings for his mother, and a relationship between men and women was more possessive, but at this moment all he had in his heart was love. He was horrified to find that he had decided not to show affection to any woman in this world except for Bachanliu, at least before awakening Khalifa and others, but now he doesn't know when he developed such deep feelings for Ujawali. 593 There is Sophie at the critical moment. Wang Shu's slaughter blade has a mental attack of negative emotions, and it is more powerful after fusion. Even if I can't bear the erosion of endless negative emotions, this is the most terrible thing about Wang Shu's Zanpakudo. If it goes on like this, maybe it won't take long for me to have a mental breakdown. Expensive, and at best, I will become an idiot who has no emotions and no emotional rationality and can only kill. Ujawali is always so indifferent and plain. Even if she complained about such a serious situation, she always smiled, as if her smile had never disappeared. It's miserable, Inoue is not here, and now I have lost the power of death for at least 10 years. I can't do it if I go back. What should I do? Lu Chengkong is now in a state of turmoil. He knows that Mao Zhawali will suffer such a serious injury because he was hit by Ling Shu to save himself, otherwise she would never be hurt. By the way, why am I so stupid? Sophie, don't watch the show, come out soon. Just when Lu Chengkong was angry, a flash of light flashed in his mind, and he immediately shouted, he had lost the power of death. But Sophie doesn't have it, so don't be afraid, there is Sophie at the critical moment. Giggle, I thought you forgot me, but now you think of me, my sister is really sad. Sophie came out in response, as if she didn't know the seriousness of the matter and made fun of Lu Chengkong as soon as it came out. It has to be said that Sophie may have stayed in Lu Chengkong's spiritual world for too long. It is also possible that he had been in contact with the outside through Lu Chengkong's line of sight for a long time, and was damaged by Lu Chengkong. He had the same interest in teasing people and making fun of people like Dana, and he was even a little black-bellied like Mao Zhawali, but her belly black is used to play tricks on others. I'm so sorry, you also know that I miss you every second. And my wives don't know how much they envy you, but you can be with me every second. Lu Chengkong's eyelids jumped. He knew very well that if he wanted Sophie to help, he had to wrestle with her, so that she could be satisfied and feel refreshed. Otherwise, it would be absolutely miserable. To know that his strength increased, Sophie would also improve. The same Sophie's strength has increased, and Lu Chengkong will also increase, so Sophie's strength can be said to be no less than Lu Chengkong's. Because after coming to the world of death, the two of them can already be said to be the most intimate. The souls are fused together and shared, and both prosperity and loss are both lost. It may be because of the intimacy of souls, or it may be hundreds of years of living together day and night. Everything that Lu Chengkong came into contact with was about Lu Chengkong, and the relationship between the two of them was increasing day by day. Forget it. Sophie snorted and nodded with satisfaction. She waved her jade hand gently, and the space was immediately shattered. The shattered space seemed to be a broken realm. Sophie also wanted to go directly to the soul realm, but the problem she is not Shu. Her power is all Zanpakuto, and all she uses is the ability of Zanpakuto. Because of the fusion with Lu Chengkong's soul, she can also use the ghost of the god of death, etc. This kind of thing cannot be used, so it is impossible to directly open the black cavity and return to the realm of corpses and let Inoue use the instant shield Liuhua. She directly used powerful power to smash the space, the soul world, the world and the virtual circle, all of which are separated from each other, so as long as the space is broken, you can directly go to the world, and the time to break the world has passed 2,000 years. It was only a month outside, which would allow Lu Chengkong's death power to quickly recover. After all, if he had waited for 10 years outside, the daylilies would be cold. Lu Chengkong also knows this. After all, he and Sophie are in harmony with each other. Sophie can know what he thinks, and Lu Chengkong can also know it, but they both respect the right to privacy very much. If there is no need to look at each other's thoughts, everyone gets along very happily, but Lu Chengkong's little thought, such as the careful thought of Mao Zhawali, of course, can't be concealed from Sophie, so it appeared just now. Only then did she make fun of Lu Chengkong. Sophie, how long will it take you to rush from the broken realm to the soul realm and bring it back to Inoue? Maybe it was because he was impatient. Lu Chengkong was a little flustered, and only remembered when he saw Sophie's idiot's eyes. Although Sophie has been able to move freely with her own disintegration and completed her strength, and the range of activities is very large, she can't leave him more than 100 miles away at most. More than 100 miles. Hey, after you lose your strength, your IQ will start to decline. Even if I go with you and Yunoa, I won't have enough time. Before I return to Unohana, my sanity will be endlessly negative. Emotional and mental aggression is an idiot. Sophie glanced at Lu Chengkong angrily. After countless years of getting along with each other, the relationship between them has become much better. They are no longer as unfamiliar as they were in the world of death, and Sophie no longer cares about Lu Chengkong so much. Hua Xin kidnapped her niece. Now she has a full understanding of Lu Chengkong's personality. Except for the carelessness that makes her unsatisfactory, everything else is good. As long as she is good to Angelina, she can understand what one of Lu Chengkong's wives said now, although Lu Chengkong has many shortcomings and more shortcomings, but any one of his advantages is enough to cover up all his shortcomings and shortcomings. Then how to do it? Lu Chengkong didn't know what to do. Looking at Mao Zhawali, who was already unconscious and sweating profusely, his face was as pale as paper without a trace of blood, and he said distressedly, "Are you still worried about your godmother with this beautiful lady?" Sophie didn't know if it was intentional or not. She deliberately said the word godmother a little louder to make Lu Chengkong smile awkwardly. Godmother. The meaning of this word may be hidden from everyone, but it is definitely not hidden from Sophie. What method? This time Lu Chengkong didn't follow suit to cooperate with Sophie, but he was really anxious to know. Who knew if Mao Zhawali would say 88 in advance if he wasted a little time? Whether it's because he wants to beat her or his feelings for her, or because she treats herself as a son and makes herself feel like a mother, any factor determines that Lu Chengkong will never allow Mao Zhawali to have an accident. What's more, the combination of so many factors will not let Mao Zihua die, if there is such a road in front of Lu Chengkong. Killing everyone in the death god world except his wife, brothers and friends, Shu, death god can immediately let Mao Zihua lie in peace, if Lu Chengkong will definitely not hesitate to swing the butcher's knife without a trace of guilt. Too many, he is no longer the Lu Chengkong who lived on Earth. He knew that if he was still the same, if he lived and handled things as he was on Earth, he would never survive for a few days. 594 Needing Maojawali. It's very simple. What's the relationship between me and you? Sophie smiled slyly, but in her heart she secretly thought that she would help you to get such an arrogant girl for free. She was the most unhappy Lu Chengkong in the past. In the end, I didn't expect that until now. He still helps Lu Chengkong's justifiable fascination. Soul fusion, soul, Lu Chengkong blurted out without thinking, but unfortunately his eyes flashed before he could speak. After a hint of comprehension, after thinking for a while, I have come to a general understanding. He and Sophie are in harmony with each other in their souls, and their souls are connected. That is to say, if he suffers a mental attack, he and Sophie will share it together, and if one is improved in strength, the other will also be improved, so Lu Chengkong is not afraid of a mental attack or an illusion. For example, Aizen's Jinghua Shuiyu is useless to Lu Chengkong even if Lu Chengkong's tricks cannot be cracked, because Lu Chengkong is the one who is hypnotized. He can completely judge what Aizen is doing in the correct position through Sophie who is not hypnotized. Fight back. Now Sophie's meaning is very simple, that is, to let Lu Chengkong and Maojawali's souls fuse, and give half of the mental attack she suffered to Lu Chengkong to bear, the same Lu Chengkong will support and give half to Sophie. That is to say, the original mental attack on one person is divided into 3 parts, and 3 people are responsible for each, so that this crisis can be safely passed. However, it is simple to say, but it is very difficult to do. Back then, Lu Chengkong and Sophie were able to blend their souls entirely from the instinct of their souls and their strong desire to survive. The external dangers stimulated, and Lu Chengkong and Sophie were both in an unconscious state. The combination of great luck and many factors is very lucky that the soul blending succeeded. What should I do? Lu Chengkong had no choice but to leave the question to Sophie again. Thinking about it, he also knew that since Sophie thought of such a method, of course there was a plan to implement it. Cannot know things, and even know many mysteries of the soul. When you were able to cultivate with Halibal, just follow this method, but of course it's not that simple. You have to enter the spiritual world in the flower of Uzumaki to help her resist. If she is conscious, of course you don't. It may be possible to enter her rock-like mind, but now she is in a coma, and all her strength is concentrated against the negative forces in her soul, so now her defense is equal to 0. It's very simple for you to enter. At that time, your spirit will resist the erosion of negative forces and share with her in the spiritual world of Unoka. At the same time the body and her do the things you love and dream about the way you do with Haribel, and then I am instilling my spiritual power into her through you, and most of her power is now fighting against negative forces when the constant consumption decreases. It should be fine to have my spiritual power as the supply of the new force and the responsibility of the 3 of us, but of course this is not comparable to the fusion of souls like the 2 of us, it can only be regarded as the intersection of souls and sharing. As Sophie spoke, she deliberately looked at Lu Chengkong's expression secretly. Thinking about it, she really wanted to see if Lu Chengkong would jump for joy after learning the news. It's a pity that Lu Chengkong was not at all happy this time, but rather unhappy. Maybe he didn't want to get Maojawali like this, but in the end Lu Chengkong nodded very sullenly, which made Sophie almost couldn't help laughing. Came out. I didn't expect to finally complete the feat of Godmother. Although it was done because of an accident, it wasn't my wish. I couldn't achieve the perfect harmony, but I had to sacrifice myself in order to make you okay, Godmother. Lu Chengkong said in his heart with justice and awe, completely disregarding Sophie Marceau's eyes full of resentment. This is typical of both being a ***** and asking you to be a chastity arch, typical of getting cheap and selling well. Lu Chengkong directly hugged Maojawali in his arms and motioned Sophie to make a barrier that had the strongest protection and defense and made it impossible for anyone outside to see anything inside. Obviously, this guy was worried about being seen and disadvantaged, although the nearby no one, but he was still worried that Sophie had no choice but to use her brains and efforts. Bound Dao Shintong. This is a binding Dao developed by Lu Chengkong that can directly enter the opponent's spiritual world. It can be said that it is very tasteless. If the opponent is in a sober or conscious state, as long as he is a little unwilling, resisting him can only be popped out and couldn't get in. It is only now that Maojawali concentrates all his strength on all the forces, and the negative forces of the opponent are in a coma and the external defense power is equal to 0. At the beginning, Lu Chengkong was just developing it to play, but now it is a faction. Comes in handy. Lu Chengkong only felt a flower in front of his eyes, and his spirit was stunned. The scene in front of him had changed. He entered a 9-colored sky, and underneath his feet was a beach-like world, which was very beautiful. It's a pity that at this time, the surrounding is full of negative forces that make people feel disgusting, and the figure of Ujawali also appeared in front of him, but at this time she was a pale resistor, wave after wave as if endless. A ray attack formed by endless negative forces. Godmother, I am here, Lu Chengkong shouted and immediately attracted Maojihuli's attention. Maybe this is the first time Lu Chengkong has seen Maojihuli's expression in such a long time. There is high excitement, there are surprises, and there are full of rabbits. I figured out a way, you will die. Lu Chengkong walked up to Maojawali, ignoring her resistance, and immersed himself in the encirclement of negative forces, allowing the negative forces to rage in his own spirit. When Zhang Kong felt like he was about to explode, a powerful and pure spiritual power nourished himself out of thin air, and he made his spiritual platform feel a love, and immediately controlled this spiritual power to resist. You have lost your strength, what are you doing here? You will die. Ujawali's tone was very serious, giving people a feeling of anger from the sky, making people feel extremely heavy when they saw it. I can't die, I said I have come up with a solution, but don't kill me afterwards, I'll already burn incense. Lu Chengkong said with a smile. The look of a little bit of fear made Maojawali puzzled for a while. If you have a way to save me, I should be grateful to you. How could it be possible to kill you? Just when Maojawali was secretly admiring herself, she felt a pain in her lower body, and her complexion changed slightly. The screen turned, and Lu Chengkong was already touching her hands in the broken world, needing this pair, which made her dream of longing for many years. It is not inferior to the Jade Girl Peak, which has received its own nourishment of chaotic chrysanthemums, which is larger than the original. If Ujawali gets her own nourishment, then it is likely to surpass the Chaos Chrysanthemum. You must know that the Chaos Chrysanthemum will become more plump after getting her own nourishment, and the Ujawali is still single. You can already get yourself nourished. The Chaotic Chrysanthemum is comparable to that. If it is moisturized, it will be fine. 595 Ecstasy Maoji Walai. Okay, don't need, you've been playing for so long, and it's not too late to get to the point. Be careful that your godmother can't wait and hang up. Sophie saw that Lu Chengkong was still playing with the plumpness of Unahakali, which shocked Sophie, who was also a woman. It turned out that Unahakare was so huge that she could be with Matsumoto without being nourished by being single. The chaotic chrysanthemum is comparable, and will it be better in the future? It is precisely because of this that she couldn't help but compare her own with Unohana, although her own was perfect and even. It's tall and straight and people can't help but go up and touch down. It's bigger and bigger than many people of the same age, but after all, it can't be compared with the busters like Unohana and Matsumoto Ranju. She belongs to the type of perfect bumpy body, not the type of boba dairy cow, so extremely rare existences such as Unohana Lai, Matsumoto Ranju, and of course they can't be compared with their strengths. It's a pity that she was influenced by Lu Chengkong. Sophie Marceau, who has seen too much of Lu Chengkong's live-erotic palace, has been brought down, compares it secretly and doesn't remember her completely in One Piece, King of Pirates. Don't care about this, but unfortunately Sophie Marceau, who has been confused by the superficial illusion at this time, is very serious. Lu Chengkong was taken aback when he heard the words. How could he dare to do so many tricks? Anyway, after rescuing Ujawali, there will be opportunities in the future, and he can't immediately take off his clothes and Ujawali's clothes because of small mistakes. Seeing the long-awaited mysterious peach blossom garden exposed in front of him, Lu Chenggong immediately rushed over, kissed the charming fragrance, and immediately kissed the peach blossom garden with his own mouth to prepare foreplay for her. When Mao Zhawali's body organs reacted instinctively, Lu Chenggong straightened his giant dragon with his spear and mounted his horse without saying a word, and rushed in at once. It's just that the expected scream didn't sound in the barrier of the boundary, but spit out from the mouth of Uno Hanalai in the spiritual world, although Uzno Hanalai is now unconscious. But mainly because she was injured, she had to concentrate all her mind and strength to fight against negative forces. It didn't mean that she couldn't feel the changes in her body. Of course, she knew what was going on when she was broken and survived for countless years. For the first time, she was angry, but when she thought of Lu Chenggong's strange words just now and his cowardly look, although the anger did not completely disappear, it also disappeared half. Soon she felt that a spiritual force appeared in her body like a new force, and at the same time, the negative force seemed to be transferred 1/3 of the time, which shocked her spirit that was about to be unable to support it. With the support and warmth of spiritual power, the soul is even stronger. At this moment, she has a general understanding of what is going on. She has also heard Bachan Liu say before that Lu Chenggong has a method similar to Shuangshou's. When he was with the girl for the first time, he could transmit his own spiritual power to the other party. Now think about it like this. Now, this is the first time that Uno Hanalai has found himself in the most complicated mood in countless years. Are you angry? The body that she had kept for many years was taken away. Without her consent, if someone else was trying to save her, she would kill it mercilessly. She would rather die than let anyone treat her like this. But when I think of the man in front of me who is not afraid of being treated as a son by me, he will show a fearful look in front of him, and his intentions, jumping into his spiritual world regardless of life and death to share with him, thinking that this man is me for countless years, the only man who made her not resist or hate her. Her anger was much less, and her heart softened. Especially now that she is not in control of her body, after the pain is over, she feels more and more comfortable, and the refreshing feeling of fluttering is constantly transmitted to her body and mind, making her unable to resist the conditional emission of moaning, but when she sees it. Lu Chenggong's strange gaze immediately covered his mouth, but it was precisely because of the pleasure that made him want to die that the pain of her spirit being eroded by negative forces seemed to be relieved a lot. It was really painful and happy. After a while, Mao Zhawali finally just let out a very complicated sigh, like anger, like coquettish anger, like love, in short, more complicated than overturning the bottle of 5 flavors. When confronted, she obviously intends to resolve this hidden danger before deciding what to do. Lu Chenggong, who was on the side, saw Mao Zhawali's increasingly red face, and she was relieved after she didn't have a seizure in the end, and immediately laughed in her heart. Confusion. While suffering from happiness, suffering from pain, and suffering from a complicated and very weak mood, Lu Zhawali has the urge to shout out. In the end, she may not be able to bear this complicated situation, or she may want to vent. Bar. He actually hugged Lu Chenggong and kissed Lu Chenggong with his clumsy and even unfamiliar kissing skills under Lu Chenggong's astonished and unbelieving gaze, and he actually had a spiritual interaction in the spiritual world, outside the world. The body, the spirit inside, this kind of situation can really be regarded as the real intersection of water and soul. This time, the man-making movement is the most exciting time Lu Chenggong has lived for countless years. The double stimulation, double pleasure, and Mao Zhawali, who has been dreaming and looking forward to it for many years, is so active and crazy that Lu Chenggong enjoys it. Maozi, who is ecstasy, bone erosion, madness. The plump and extreme meatball, the willow waist that is unbearable to hold, the flat plane, the plump buttocks full of sensuality, the rosy face with a little perspiration and the beauty full of maternity halo made Lu Chenggong completely riot. They all forgot the existence of negative forces, and they were completely indulged in this crazy love. It's just that the two of them were relieved, and they were flying like a fairy, but it was Sophie who was suffering from the outside. She gritted her teeth and concentrated her mind against the negative force that was shared, and she also had to concentrate on transmitting the spiritual power to Lu Chengkong, and then transmitted to Mao Zhawali through Lu Chengkong. It can be said that she was the one who took the lead, the hardest and most innocent. Damn, you two female fuckers, I worked hard for the two of you outside, and the two of you were comfortable with you, completely disregarding the feelings of this beauty, but is this really that good? Even a strange woman like Ujawali is caught in it. But I think it should be the reason that Ujawali really regarded Lu Chengkong as his precious son, and didn't want to kill him because of a momentary anger. 596 The complicated thoughts of Hana Nozomi. Sophie outside was angrily and constantly cursing Lu Chengkong, and at the same time she really guessed it right. After all, she and Mao Zhawali are both strange women, and they are both people who stand at the top of the world. Of course, they guessed a little. Ji Huoli's idea. After all, the two of them have thought about it in many places. If it is the normal state of Ujawali and Lu Chengkong, no matter how crazy she is, as long as she wants, she can completely ignore the pleasure of her body, her face does not change, and she smiles the same as usual, completely unmoved by these refreshing, it can even directly seal this wonderful pleasure. It's a pity that he has suffered great changes, many blows, his soul has been eroded by negative forces, and he has complex feelings for Lu Chengkong. For the first time, she couldn't help but want to vent, because she was worried that if she thought about it again, she could not help but kill Lu Chengkong, the godson who got her body without her consent, to vent her hatred. Therefore, she can only take the initiative to forget everything and throw herself into the human creation movement to use this to vent her anger and hatred, not to let herself have the opportunity to think about superfluous things, let alone to kill Lu Chengkong. Otherwise, there will be such a self-absorbed madness there. With her rock-solid state of mind, as long as she thinks about what she has cast, it can shake her. It can be said that she does everything for Lu Chengkong's sake, in order not to let herself kill this countless years because of momentary anger and hatred. The only man who made himself not hate Ben resists and is also his son. I have to say that Mao Zhawali is not lying, but treats Lu Chengkong as his most precious child with the same sincerity as Bachan Liu. Otherwise Lu Chengkong is now a corpse. She is I would rather be broken than broken tiles, and I will never die in vain. If it wasn't for Lu Chengkong's reasons, and he didn't treat him as a son, Mao Zhawali would rather die. Let the people who dare to think about him die together and not let anyone touch his body. Under the circumstance that Sophie kept cursing Lu Chengkong in circles, after 2 days and 2 nights passed, with the efforts of the three of them, they finally fully used the Spirit Void Strike, which may not even be enough for 50% of their strength. The negative spiritual power brought by it was removed. It can be seen that Ling Shu's strength is absolutely extraordinary. It is definitely not so unbearable when he fought against Lu Chengkong. The main reason is that the weakness is seen and there is a problem of luck. After clearing these negative forces, Lu Chengkong, who was originally just a human, smiled contentedly, and then buried his head in the majestic big breasts of Ujawali with a tired expression and fell into a deep sleep. Ji Huoli, on the other hand, looked at Lu Chengkong with a tired look even if he slept in his arms with complicated eyes. However, Mao Zhawali also saw that Lu Chengkong showed a satisfied smile from his heart when he was fine, and it was this smile that made Mao Zhawali doubtful. His eyes were hesitant, angry, murderous, and hesitant. Happy, distressed, and very complicated. After taking one last look at Lu Chengkong in her arms, Ujihu sighed, not thinking about anything. Obviously she was also a little tired. After all, not only was she seriously injured, but her spirit was also damaged to a certain extent, so she was also very tired, especially the 2 days and 2 nights of sleepless confrontation with negative forces made her tense nerves to the limit. After a sigh after the breath, she put away her complicated eyes. Taking a deep look at Lu Chengkong, he hugged Lu Chengkong and asked him to find a more comfortable position in his arms, and then hugged Lu Chengkong as if he was caring for his baby and fell asleep, no matter in the spiritual world. The spiritual, soul, conscious body, or the outer body shows the same action. Hey, I'm an outsider who is busy and half tired, and I don't get any benefits from the two of you, but I'm sleeping a lot. It's really hard. Sophie raised her head and let out a long sigh, giving people a feeling of desolation in the autumn wind, as if she had been abandoned, but unfortunately, Vivi's corner of her mouth evoked her mood. She was in a very good mood, and the desolation on the surface was just pretending. When Lu Chengkong woke up again, it was 3 days later. After losing his strength, he was an ordinary person. After he exhausted his energy to fight against the negative forces of 2 days and 2 nights, he was even more overdrawn. If not after waking up, Ujawali gave him treatment, and he might not wake up for a week. Ah, I slept really well, Strange. Lu Chengkong sighed, as if he had just woken up from a dream, but soon his face changed slightly, and he couldn't help exclaiming when he felt the changes within the power that should have been restored after 10 years. He woke up today and found that there was an extremely pure Reiatsu within his body. The level of quality and purity is much higher than when it disintegrated in its heyday. Although this spiritual power is not very large, it is better than pure. With this spiritual power as a foundation to guide him, he will fully recover his strength by then. If so, the strength will definitely be better than breaking a floor and standing up. You big idiot, this is the world of the gods of death. Powerful gods of death have spiritual pressure, especially a powerful female god of death like Unoka. Her Yuanian has preserved the spiritual power that has been accumulated for countless years. Of course, it is pure and pure. It's amazing, although the fusion of your soul and flesh consumed a lot of my spiritual pressure a few days ago, it also benefits me even more. Su Fei appeared directly behind Lu Chengkong and knocked on Lu Chengkong's head, very unhappy with such an idiot as Lu Chengkong. So that's the case. Lu Chengkong suddenly realized, but after looking at it, he found that Maojawali was missing, so he turned his attention to Sophie. You really have a bad luck. If it was someone else, Maojawali had already smashed him into thousands of pieces, and he blew himself up and died before it even started. Her trust in you gave her body unreservedly. Here's to you, that's why you have this chance. Afterwards, she didn't kill you. Instead, she was more gentle to you and even showed a trace of doting, even like a miracle that a wife treats her husband. Sophie looked very curious and interested, and then she croaked. She didn't notice Lu Chengkong, whose face became darker and darker as she spoke. In the end, Lu Chengkong couldn't help roaring any longer. Sophie, you big idiot, you know how dangerous it is, but you still do these things. You know that if I die, you will die too. You big idiot, do you want to die so much? 597 is both godmother and wife. If you can cut it cheap and sell it well, when I don't know who knows this method, my head is on the sky. Don't worry, I will take care of myself if I don't take care of you. Take care of things like that. I know that she has a high chance of not killing you in the end, but has a high chance of letting you go directly across all obstacles to come together, otherwise, it will depend on your vote for this accident and my help. God knows how many years later. Come together. I still blame me. It's really easy to be called a godmother now. I don't know who was God before. With my help, she is now both your godmother and your wife. I don't know how to thank me. No conscience. Sophie said with a look of extreme grievance, but her eyes that made the world fall for her were glittering with smug and sly eyes, obviously pretending to deliberately stimulate Lu Chengkong. You, Lu Chengkong stammered for a while and finally could only be speechless. After all, what Sophie said was half correct, if not all, if she had known that there is a high chance that he will fight even if it is dangerous. Lu Chengkong, who has experienced so many things, knows that everything in life is actually a gamble. If you lose a small amount, you will risk your life if you lose a big one. Even everything is normal, so Lu Chengkong is just a little unhappy. You're awake. Maojawali's figure suddenly appeared. It may be that when Lu Chengkong was still in a coma, Maojawali had already figured it out and made a decision. Those anger, resentment, and murderous intentions have disappeared, replaced by the past. His gentle smile, but deep in his watery eyes was a touch of doting that only Lu Chengkong could find. Obviously, after the change in the relationship, Lu Chengkong was only pampered as if he was a godson, but Ujawali, who took care of him, turned into pampering. This kind of feeling of being both mother and child and husband and wife is not even a woman who has survived for countless years. But since she couldn't kill him, she didn't resist him, and after thinking about it, she realized that she had made a decision. Then she would not let herself be disturbed, and she would not back down. This is her Ujawali's style of being a person and doing things. It's a right bet. Lu Chengkong was completely relieved. Although he almost lost his life, the gain was really great. After recovering his strength, it was an ironclad fact that he gained a beauty that he had longed for a long time. Jiaoluo, even more perfect to achieve their expected goals. Although there was a bit of an accident in the middle, it was precisely because of these accidents and risks that Lu Chengkong had both the fish and the bear's paw. Not only did he get a mother who he had longed for, and he took care of him, he also got the harem that he had longed for a long time. The manager also served as the wife who made him relapse and gave his true feelings. These risks and accidents were so worth it. Your body has recovered, how about you? Lu Chengkong didn't know what to call Maojawali, but he didn't care too much. Anyway, it was just a momentary embarrassment. With the passage of time, anyway, I have to spend 10 years here to recover my strength. As long as I take advantage of this 10 years to cultivate a good relationship with Ujawali, then it will not be a matter of time, although there are people who get on the bus first and then make up the ticket. Suspicious, but it doesn't matter. As long as a white cat or a black cat can catch mice, it is a good cat. It's not that you don't know my medical skills, and this time the spiritual and soul have been injured. After I recover, maybe I will have the opportunity to break through to the spiritual void. Even if I cannot reach the spiritual void, I can become a quasi-spiritual void, even if it is only a quasi-spiritual void. Compared with the fusion of the Spirit King and Wang Shu, the strength of the spirit void will be stronger, and it can be regarded as the harvest of breaking and standing. Uno Hanalai took a deep breath. Apart from being a little embarrassed at the beginning, after chatting with each other slowly and slowly becoming active, I believe that it will be restored soon, so that you can go further in time. That's good, godmother, I'll still call you that, at least that will never change. Lu Chengkong hesitated for a while and finally decided to call him that, while Maojawali was obviously a little surprised. But more of it was warmth. A hint of satisfaction flashed in her gentle eyes. This simple sentence made her feel a different taste, and she enjoyed this feeling very much, which only Bachanliu and Lu Chengkong could bring. Give yourself this feeling. It's just that these 10 years have made you bored and want to stay with me here. It will take 10 years for my strength to fully recover. Lu Chengkong hugged his head and was overjoyed when he saw the change in Lu Chengkong's eyes. Sure enough, at present, what occupies most of his heart in Maojawali's heart is her feelings for him like a mother and a child, not for men and women. Feelings. Lu Chengkong didn't get carried away and said that he didn't get anything else. Instead, he said such a sentence, but it made Maojawali smile like a flower, and he was very satisfied and happy. Was it because he was his own child that he did not kill him until now? That's what Uno Hanalai wanted. The passage of time doesn't give me any feeling, it's the same wherever I go, and it's not bad here. Anahakali chuckled, which was different from the black-bellied smile that usually frightened the Gote 13th Division. This smile makes people relaxed and happy, very warm and comfortable like a spring breeze. I was actually fooled by him. This luck is really good. Sophie watched the relationship between the two rapidly improve in Lu Chengkong's heart. On the other side, the Spirit King and Wang Shu, who were forcibly released from the fusion, returned to their virtual King Realm and Spirit King Realm and checked their heavily injured bodies. Originally, these injuries that would have taken a long time to repair by self-healing appeared in the they will definitely be very annoyed, but this time the two of them laughed in unison. Haha, Maojawali, I really want to thank you very well. Although I was beaten with scars, it has shaken the bottleneck that I have not loosened for many years. The next time we meet, I will definitely be able to reach Wang Shu. Spirit King Peak, then my strength will not be worse than yours. However, your fusion Zanpakuto ability is really troublesome. You have to find a way. Otherwise, you will have a high chance of defeat in a heads-up battle. Forget it. No matter if these focus on healing breakthroughs first, you can only sacrifice some Wang Zujin in order to be faster. A member of Wei Team 0. Soon both of them each greeted some members of Team 0, Wang Shu's guards, who are older and have been around for a very long time. They are about to reach their limit, but they still have powerful forces and have retired. They want to devour them. Accelerate the recovery of the injury, and then make a better and faster breakthrough. It seems that no world revolves around one person. Lu Chengkong and Mao Zhiwali are rare geniuses who can seize the opportunity to break through and stand up. As the world's first virtual god of death, the same qualifications are impossible to compare. The first two are worse. After all, they are the first creatures in the world. As long as they seize the opportunity, they can also make progress and breakthroughs. 598 Restoration, Tianbei Kusup debuts. When the sun goes down to the west, the boundary world is really a wonderful space. Even the stars similar to the sun can shine here. Looking at this beautiful sunset, a man and a woman are sitting next to each other on the branches and watching this place quietly. Beautiful, beautiful, full of memories. This man and woman are Lu Chengkong and Mao Zhiwali. At this time, they have spent 10 years here. In 10 years, Mao Zhiwali fully recovered from the injury and then Li really reached a quasi-spiritual state. The realm is only one step away from becoming a true spiritual void, and Lu Chengkong has also completely recovered his strength, and then he has made great progress. At this time, Lu Chengkong dared to let go of Kuangyan. Even if Wang Shu and King Ling came back again, he was sure to repel them. Of course, the premise was that their strength was still the same as before, otherwise he would not know. After spending 10 years here, the relationship between the two has grown by leaps and bounds. First of all, they have a deeper and deeper mother-son relationship as the foundation. 10 years have made their relationship progress by leaps and bounds. At least it has reached the point where Feijin does not marry, and Mao Zhiwali has basically adapted to Lu Chengkong's sweethearts and even often fights back against Lu Chengkong with a black belly smile to let Lu Chengkong. Sophie Marceau snickered in her heart. It's time to leave after 10 years. Lu Chengkong looked at everything he was familiar with. Although he had watched it countless times, the life of He Zhiwali here was still very unforgettable to him. Now that Vivi is a little reluctant to leave, on the other side, the flower is not much better. Obviously, she has completely accepted this relationship, which can be called a bad relationship, and has completely adapted to being both a wife and a mother. It is not as difficult as she imagined, but it seems very natural. It really comes naturally. Yeah, I didn't expect that I would have a little nostalgia for this place. Although life here is simple, it is not boring at all, but unfortunately, it is impossible to stay here forever. Don't worry. Mao Zhiwali is not the kind of person who can sell everything when she has a husband. She has her own restraint, her own goals, and her own independent ideas. Lu Chengkong's status is rising straight up in her heart, yes, but it doesn't mean that she doesn't love Bachenliu anymore. On the contrary, it's because of Lu Chengkong's relationship. The relationship between the three of them has pierced almost the last layer of film, and the intimacy has gone further to the point where there is nothing to talk about. Therefore, Lu Zhiwali loves Bachenliu even more than before, as if it were his own life. And even many mothers and daughters who have a good relationship with each other are not as good as Lu Zhiwali and Yachenliu. However, such a scene can be remembered after leaving her behind. Lu Zhiwali gently waved the Zanpakuto, and a mirror object appeared out of thin air, facing the setting sun, the sunset, and the giant forest tree below, etc. The scene shone with light. Immediately, a picture appeared in the almost transparent mirror, which was a miniature version of everything here. There were two people standing inside. It was the reduced Lu Chengkong and Mao Zhiwali. With a warm and sweet smile, it goes without saying that this kind of ability is also one of the Zanpakuto abilities of the Uno Hana Ritsukai. Let's go. Lu Chengkong smiled, opened his black accent, and Mao Zhiwali directly returned to the Soul realm, and soon returned to Lu Mansion, and at Lu Chengkong's request, Mao Zhawali also smiled. Nodding his head, he promised to go back and clean up tonight and move to Lu Mansion. Lu Chengkong couldn't help but cheer for a while. You must know that in the past 10 years, Lu Chengkong has not touched her body without her permission because otherwise Mao Zhawali was uncomfortable. Now that Mao Zhawali has agreed to his request, it does not mean that he is tonight. But he can do whatever he wants. 10 years of hard work finally got a perfect harvest tonight, can he not be excited? Ha ha. Mao Zhawali looked at Lu Chengkong's excited look, and was proud in his heart, but also very sweet as if he had eaten candy. The corner of his mouth couldn't help but smile. After 10 years of getting along, she still has her own understanding, but she knows that Lu Chengkong is not so excited about Lu Chengkong except for Bachanliu. It is precisely because of Mao Jihuli's relapse that Lu Chengkong no longer suppressed his feelings for the girls. With Mao Jihuli taking the lead, Lu Chengkong has suppressed his feelings for the girls Yi and the girls for a long time. He was hiding and letting it erupt, so now Lu Chengkong no longer had pure desire and love for his wife, but a true erotic love of all three. Godmother has done it, so the rest of the beauties I like are not far away. The hardest part was completed so early. It seems to work harder, but the godmother is here. It's good to have a godmother in Yongyan. It's resolved, and Nyan Dream is also eaten later. Lu Chengkong saw Ujawali leave, he immediately showed a cocky and smug smile. If Ujawali saw that this guy who made him happy and sweet just now left, he would immediately think about other things. The woman even planned to let Ujawa help him, wondering if he would slash through. After sorting out his thoughts, Lu Chengkong immediately entered the Lu residence. Of course, the girls cheered. At the same time, they were shy. Desire today, he has to completely satisfy everything he says, otherwise he will feel sorry for himself. Turning the clouds and turning the rain, of course, needless to say, the absurdity of Lu Chengkong and the first-class women of Sifengyuan did not completely stop until the afternoon of the next day, but Lu Chengkong also knew that he was in the middle of the night. No one from Wang Shu's guards or the Zero Squad came during the time they left. It should be because of the failure of the previous few times and the reason that both Ling Wang and Wang Shu were seriously injured and had no time to take care of them. They were also considered lucky. Otherwise, let their spiritual pressure become his supplement to enhance the strength of the girls. As for Lu Chengkong, forget it. Even if his current strength is Mao Zhawali, he would not dare to underestimate his current strength. No one except Fei and Mao Zhawali knows that Wang Shu's guards and the members of the Zero Squad are generally not swallowed up by themselves, so it is better to improve the strength of the girls. What Lu Chengkong didn't think about was that although he had been in the world for 10 years, a very short time had passed in the outside world. He didn't have 6 days, plus the time he spent in the virtual circle to find Mao Zhawali. 1 month is not enough, but a major event has happened in the Soul Society. That is the original book that replaced Kuchiki Byakuya's late father and became the captain of the expedition team. In order to get revenge, Tianbei Miyasuke got the taper sword. At this time, because of his own reasons, his strength in the soul world was not only not because of the 3 Aizen. When Mako and the others returned and became stronger after leaving, he was summoned back by old man Yamamoto. Obviously, it was used as a hidden power, because after returning, he did not have the captain of the 13th Division of Godu, because the captain's position was also full. How could it be possible to be the captain to play the role of a hidden hole card, and finally he became the leader. The earliest Deadwood Shanghai was in the first team. The captain of a special unit in the first team, except for the old man Yamamoto, he is the biggest in the first team. Even the captain of the 11th team Zhang is far less than him, and the captain of the general guardian of the 13th team. Possessed status power is almost the same. Otherwise, the original Shanghai would not be framed when he took this position. In addition to the threat of Muramasa, the power of this position is no different from that of a general captain. He had too much power before he was framed. From this, it can be seen that getting out of this position is not easy. 599 Taper Yaodao debut. Is Tianbei Shusuke? So, the Taper Yaodao will also appear. Speaking of which, this kid is rarely a truly upright guy, but how many people can stay awake under the anger of hatred? Just understand everything. Afterwards, setting fire to self-immolation. Such a feat, in the 13th division of the Gote, there are several gods of death that can do it. Lu Chengkong recalled the plot of the Taper Yaodao. Although he did not remember most of them, they were all trivial matters. It was enough to remember those major events. Perhaps Lu Chengkong was worthy of his attention now. Only Wang Shu and Ling Wang. I don't know if it was an illusion or not, but Lu Chengkong had a very bad hunch, that the next time they met, King Ling and Wang Shu would only get stronger and not stand still or weaken. By the way, let's take a look at Orihime and Longwei. Speaking of which, I promise to bring her here. If you don't get used to it, I will have to erase your memory and throw you back to the world. Lu Chengkong suddenly thought of Longwei. His mind moved, and he disappeared in a blink of an eye, completely ignoring the shrill whistling sound of his body piercing through the air because of his excessive speed, and it didn't take Lu Chengkong a few seconds. Has come to the fourth team. After sensing the spiritual pressure of the two of them, Lu Chengkong walked directly over and looked at the two women in the Death Tyrant outfit. Lu Chengkong found that the loose Death Tyrant outfit still couldn't hide Orihime Inoue's plump. Longwei was originally a tall woman with good physical flexibility and skin elasticity after long-term training in martial arts. It's a pity that compared with Inoue Orihime, there is of course a bit of a gap, and when the two stand together, there is a feeling that Inoue Orihime is a red flower, and Longwei is an Orihime who is going to be set off by green leaves. Ah, Teacher Chengkong, you're here. Inoue Orihime shouted in surprise when she saw the person coming, and immediately thought that Longwei was still by her side. Her face flushed, and she didn't dare to say anything more. Come and see you. It's true that both of you were brought to the soul world by me. It's good to see if you're doing well. If it's not good, I'll send you back to reality. Lu Chengkong didn't care about the change in Inoue Orihime's expression. This was taken care of by herself when she was a child. After her brother was born, the sky fell and she was about to collapse. When her eyes were full of dead gray, she accompanied her and took her with her. Return. Therefore, how can Inoue Orihime's feelings for her be hidden from him? It can be said that Inoue Orihime is one of the most easily captured beauties. Lu Chengkong came to the world of death, but her infatuation level can completely match that of Matsumoto Ranju, comparable to the first-class women of Sifeng Night. Ah no, I'm having a good time. Oops, I don't know what to say, but I'm having a good time here. Inoue Orihime's stupid little head thought that Lu Chengkong didn't want her anymore, and suddenly panicked. His pale face screamed tenderly, and people couldn't help but hug her in his arms and take good care and love. Okay, don't get excited, I'm just here to ask. If you're unhappy, I'll let you go back. After all, this place is out of tune with your world. Although Saranje seems to be nothing on the surface, in fact, there are many corruptions going on nearby. I deceive, thinking of resentment and hatred of your death and my death. This place is even crueler than the law of the jungle in the animal world. Not everyone can adapt to it, especially if you are all used to the life of this world. Lu Chengkong patted Inoue Orihime's little head, and the latter sighed in relief and showed a happy smile. Obviously, it was enough for Min to stay here with this man by his side. Inoue Orihime's heart was actually very simple. Yes, that's it. What about you, Longwei? Lu Chengkong turned to look at Ryazawa Arasawa, who had been silent for a while, knowing that every time he made some kissing moves with Inoue Orihime, this little girl dared to run out and ignore the difference in strength and strength. It's strange that I'm so quiet this time, maybe it's because I didn't get used to it for a while. Of course I'm staying here. It's the same for me everywhere, and there's nothing worth lingering about in this world, and I'm not at all relieved that Orihime gave it to me, and I heard that the stronger the god of death, the longer the lifespan and the youth. Duo, this is something that many women in this world yearn for incomparably. But for me I have this opportunity, how can I go back? Aizawa Longwei smiled heartily. Longwei, who has grown long hair now, is no longer as neutral as he was when he first came. Instead, The rare little daughter's dynamic has begun to appear. That's good, let's go, it's rare to be free today, let's go out for a walk. Lu Chengkong took Inoue Orahime's hand, the latter trembled a bit, blushed pretty, and a puff of white smoke soared, but there was no struggle, lowered his head and dared not look at Lu Chengkong, let alone his friend Long Gui, and followed closely behind Lu Chengkong. It's true, Orihime, I didn't plan to stop you, so is it necessary to be so afraid? Of course you have to control your own happiness, but no matter what, as long as you are tired and unhappy, Orihime, I will always be by your side. Both of them are orphans, and they have been playing since childhood. Of course, their relationship is good. Even once again, the two of them said that they would marry the same person together when they grow up, but I don't know if it will come true now. Long Gui obviously remembered these words when she was a child, and she had a rare blush when she was cheerful. Although she is as cheerful and arrogant as Kong He, she is obviously not at the same level as Kong He. After all, there is only one Kong He, and only Kong He will not be shy when he does what he loves. In the next month, Lu Chengkong will be very relaxed, and Lu Chengkong will not go to practice this month. After all, it will be of no use for him to cultivate. And he always felt that he had a good way to accompany his wife and enjoy life. This time, in addition to accompanying his wife every day, he also made a tune with Usualai, and of course he also pulled Ni, who has not been successfully defeated by his own goal. Liel waited for the girl to go shopping and have fun, but she had been playing for a full month. In this regard, whether it was Lu Chengkong's wives, Ni Yanmeng, Randao, Nelia Lu, or even Ais Naneo, who was always bickering with Lu Chengkong, did not compete with Lu Chengkong this month, but often confronted Lu Chengkong. Chengkong smiled lightly, obviously she had also been very happy this month. Of course, Lu Chengkong didn't know what the reason was during the period, maybe it was to check whether the young Moritao had fully recovered, and brought her over. Facing the other beauties around Lu Chengkong, the young Moritao returned to her innocent smile, but look, when she approached Lu Chengkong, her petite body trembled like a frightened little white rabbit, but Lu Chengkong was satisfied no matter what. It seems that Jinghua Shuiyu's influence on Hina Sentao has been completely eliminated, which is better than the original one. That young Mori Dao is much better. Of course, Lu Chengkong and the others were very happy, but the court's soul world began to experience a storm again. Although Tianbei Shusuk had a different identity, he was still a captain anyway. So he still carried out his plan as in the original book, and Hiriko Meiko helped Kurosaki Ichigo complete the blurring as early as a month ago, and then he just went back to the Soul Realm and ran over to Lu Chengkong to eat food. Tempi Pusuk, who had been preparing for a month and thought it was foolproof, started his action today. 600 Tianbei Yusuk vs Kurosaki Ichigo. Hey, it really doesn't make people worry, but it's not bad. It's also a show that makes life more exciting. This kind of real-life movie is more shocking and beautiful. Lu Chengkong held Safenjin Yaiki in his left hand, Matsumoto Ranju in his right hand, and on his shoulders sat an Yakiryu eating a lollipop. Behind him, Lisa Yahomaru and Harabelle stood side by side. In addition, there is Lan Dao, Konghi and other women surrounded by such a scene. Even if the gods see it, they will be envious and jealous. Can an outdated Lu Dalu family make such a fuss? Saifeng Yuan Yei said slightly mockingly. In her opinion, the so-called four nobles are now in addition to the Saifeng Yuan family and Konghei's Zibo family. Others don't say that they are some lingering wastes who only know how to fight for power and gain but don't know that those who control all rights are power. The Sha Dalu family, whose only remaining bloodline is outdated, is just a willful little girl, of course, can't make such a disturbance. Of course, there are people behind it. This is something that old man Yamamoto has to share. Lu Chengkong thought that Tianbei Shusuke's father was old man Yamamoto's best disciple who died in his hands. He didn't believe that old man Yamamoto would let the Sha Dalu family go. The recent developments of the Sha Dalu family were obviously very clear to old man Yamamoto. It's just that he can't shoot directly, so he let him shoot the chess piece Kurosaki Ichigo prepared in the present world, and manipulate the Kurosaki Ichigo skill behind the scenes in the route he needs. After all, he is the commander-in-chief, and the eyes of thousands of death gods are focused on him. If he directly takes revenge, it will not work if he does not maintain a model image of obeying the legal rules of the Soul Society. This is the sadness of those in power. To have power does need to pay a lot of prices that he does not want. Therefore, Liu Chengkong does not want to be a person in power, but to be a supreme being with absolute power that cannot be shaken by any existence. Do whatever you want, and no one dares to touch its edge. Ryu Taiwu, can you tell me how you know this name? The old man Yamamoto looked at Tianbei embroidery in front of him, feeling a little familiar, but after thinking about it, he couldn't remember it, so he had no choice but to ask Road. Ryu Taiwu is my father's name, now do you know why I killed you? Tianbei Shusuke's mood fluctuated, and after telling the truth he knew, he immediately started, spraying out a rough the long flames shot at Yamamoto, who was unable to use the power of the Zanpakuto. It's a pity that old man Yamamoto, who has personally killed his apprentice once, really can't use his own hands to get rid of his apprentice's only bloodline left in the world, otherwise he can't use Zanpakuto with his strength, just Shunpo, by fighting Ghost Way, Kendo can get rid of Tenbei Amusuke, instead of letting him keep his resentment and fighting Kurosaki Ichigo here. I understand a little bit about you now, it's really much more interesting than watching a movie. Matsumoto Ranju licked the corner of his mouth charmingly, and cast a blank eye at Liu Chengkong, who was standing in a nearby high-rise building. Looking at the battle between Tianbei Amusuke and Kurosaki Ichigo, who came to me from the top, is really not comparable to watching movies or watching anime. The two people below are really pitiful. They beat you to the death there. In your eyes, it's just watching a movie. Saifeng Yuan Yi said. Unhappily, it's a pity that she herself is like a woman watching a movie in a movie theater and watching the climax of the fight. Her eyes are shining, obviously she also likes this kind of real-life movie. What do you think, Lisa? Matsumoto Ranku directly ignored Shifenjin Yoichi, a woman with a different heart, and turned to ask Lisa Yazumaru, who was standing behind boredly flipping through a female swimsuit idol magazine. It is worth mentioning that after knowing that Liu Chengkong didn't care about her own interests, Lisa Yahomaru did not give up her interest in reading female idol swimwear magazines, but of course she had the greatest interest in reading Liu Chengkong's body, and she had to study it every night. Several times, Yi and other women in Saifengyuan thought that someone was crazier than them. What's so beautiful, even if Bai comes, it won't take much time to clean up the following two guys, let alone you guys. But husband, you are so true, you actually turned Bai into a phantom and didn't talk to me in advance. Tell me, what if the white change doesn't come back? Liza Yahomaru folded her hands together and directly destroyed the magazine she had already read, and then there was a burst of coquettish anger. The attitude of this little girl who is very rare in a cold and beautiful beauty made her even more beautiful. You still can't believe your husband's ability. My eyesight is still good. Liu Chengkong took Liza Yazumaru in his arms and tasted her seductive little mouth for a while Liza Yazumaru was indifferent. There is no resistance, there is a faint blush and a smile on his face, and Liu Chengkong is allowed to taste his own beauty. It can be said that he has dedicated his best side to Liu Chengkong. If Ais Naneo is here, he will definitely say Liu Chengkong again. It's a big pervert regardless of the occasion. Look, the little mask has appeared. Yachinliu, who was sitting on his shoulder, stretched out his pink and scallion-like fingers and pointed downward. Sure enough, even Liu Chengkong and Yazumaru Lisa, who were kissing passionately, also looked over. Of course, the little mask that Yakian Ryu mentioned was of course Ichigo Kurosaki's blurring. Sure enough, is this the legendary blur? Tianbei embroidered a smile on his face. After he figured out Kurosaki Ichigo's ability, he didn't hold back and was not surprised. Ichigo Kurosaki, Cha Yan Longya. Tianbei Shusuke shouted that anyone who blocked his revenge would die, and the taper sword was raised to the extreme, trying to reduce the power of Kurosaki Ichigo to the weakest. It's a pity that now Kurosaki Ichigo is using all the power of Shiro Ichigo, so it is not affected at all. The black curved crescent moon Tianchang directly blocks all the flames sprayed out from under his feet, although it does not. Said to be unscathed, but he didn't suffer any major injuries, just a little scratched. I see, is that how you blocked my Che Yanlongya just now? Tianbei Shusuk could see clearly this time, and control the black crescent moon to form a 360-degree circular slash. Yes, it's a pity that I'm not fully proficient yet, but next time I will be able to completely block your attack. Kurosaki Ichigo's mask is only a few left at this time, and he can still keep the blurring completely inside his body. Baiyihu didn't want to be abused innocently, so he secretly shot. Who made him accidentally hit by the outburst of Kurosaki Ichigo? Although Shiro Ichigo is very arrogant, he only knows how to destroy and kill battles, but he is a man of his word. This is his only advantage. At least when he admitted that Ichigo Kurosaki was the king, he would not interfere with Ichigo Kurosaki.